Chapter 87. He immediately pulled Lu Tianla and said with a face full of resentment, "Cousin, this is the guy who hit my mother yesterday." It's him? Lu Tianla's eyes narrowed slightly as a cold light flashed through them. At the same time, Tang Jianfeng, Fu Lanjun, and the others also noticed Jiang Tian's presence. "I'll go and meet him. He's a lunatic. How can he be qualified to attend the Tang family's banquet? He must have snuck in." Lu Changfeng coldly snorted and quickly rushed over. "Jiangtan, why are you here?" A wisp of ridicule appeared on the corners of Chu Yue's mouth when she saw Jiang Tian appear, and she quickly walked over to greet him. "Why can't I be here?" Jiang Tian smiled. You must have snuck in, right? Hurry up and leave. Otherwise, you'll be embarrassed if you're discovered." Chu Yue put on a cute smile, but her eyes were full of disdain. "Hee, you don't have to worry about me." Jiang Tian was too lazy to argue with this girl. He pulled a chair and sat down. He picked up a plate of fruits and smiled. "Qinya, do you want to eat lychees? I'll peel them for you." Zhao Xueqing smiled sweetly. "How can you just peel them? You have to feed me." "But I'll feed my big baby. Open your mouth." Jiang Tian fed Zhao Xueqing a lychee. She smiled happily and said, "It's very sweet." "Jiang Tian, get out." Suddenly, Lu Changfeng walked in with an arrogant look on his face. Then, he said sternly, "How can trash like you come to this kind of place? How dare a lunatic like you sneak into the Tang family's banquet?" Slap. Jiang Tian didn't say anything. He raised his hand and slapped Lu Changfeng, sending him flying 3 meters away. Jiang Tian's actions were fierce and overbearing. Coupled with Lu Changfeng's screams, they attracted a lot of attention. "Changfeng, are you okay?" Several attendants went to support him. "This is the Tang family's apprenticeship ceremony. Jiang Tian, how can you hit people? We're all finished." Seeing this scene, Zhao Huqing and Wei Fang were scared out of their wits. They ran over, one supporting Lu Changfeng, while the other angrily reprimanded Jiang Tian. However, Jiang Tian's expression didn't change at all. He was still as calm as ever, as if he wasn't hitting someone. It was as simple as slapping an ant to death. "You dog-like thing, bark again and I'll kill you." Jiang Tian didn't even raise his eyelids as he spoke in a calm and composed manner. On the other hand, Chu Yue had a face full of schadenfreude as she shook her head and said in her heart, "Do you think this is the Zhao clan? You can behave atrociously as you please. Not to mention anything else, just Lu Tianla alone won't let you off. What are you doing?" Sure enough, Lu Tianla, Fu Lanjun, Du Tao, Tang Jianfeng, and the others quickly walked over with an arrogant attitude. "Jiang Tian, what's wrong with you? You dare to behave atrociously in the Tang family's apprenticeship ceremony." Lu Tianla was so angry that his face turned ashen as he snapped. Who didn't know that Lu Changfeng was his cousin? Wasn't Jiang Tian slapping him in the face? "What's so great about the Tang family's apprenticeship ceremony? I said to stop this ceremony, so it has to be stopped." Jiang Tian was calm and composed as he lazily disdained them. Then, he unhurriedly peeled a longan for Zhao Xueqing and stuffed it into her little mouth. "What? Is this kid crazy? How dare he speak such arrogant words to the Tang family? He should be hacked into pieces if he dares to say such words. Humph, where did this stinking brat come from? He's extremely arrogant and doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Break his legs and throw him out. So many young masters are here to suppress him, yet he still has the mood to eat fruits." The tycoons in the courtyard didn't recognize Jiang Tian's face. They either mocked him or scolded him coldly. They were all worth hundreds of millions, but in front of the Tang family, they were still trembling with fear as if they were treading on thin ice. How dare this penniless guy talk so arrogantly? Suddenly, someone recognized Jiang Tian. He slapped his thigh and laughed maniacally. "Isn't this the crazy son-in-law of Zhao Huqing? Ha, no wonder he's so crazy. It really is him. Zhao Huqing is also here. Bringing his crazy son-in-law here is embarrassing him. Aren't they afraid that the Tang family will kick them out? Look, isn't this a big problem? How dare he make a move in the Crouching Dragon Villa? He will definitely be tortured to death." Immediately, the sound of mockery was endless. In their eyes, not only Jiang Tian, but also Zhao Huqing and his wife had become the biggest joke. Xueqing, hurry up and take Jiang Tian away. Seeing this, Zhao Huqing and his wife's faces turned red. They were so embarrassed that they wanted to find a hole to hide in. Why should we leave? Lu Changfeng is disrespectful, so he deserves to be beaten, Zhao Xueqing said angrily. Zhao Xueqing, how dare you bring your crazy husband here to cause trouble? Are you crazy? Fu Lanjun looked at Zhao Xueqing with disdain and scolded sternly. Why don't you take a look at where you are? You really don't know what's good for you. Her relationship with Tang Jianfeng had just been approved by the Tang family, which meant that she would be Tang Linglong's sister-in-law in the future. Now that her status was different, she was instantly filled with arrogance. She did not even fear Tang Linglong. In her eyes, Jiang Tian was no match for Tang Jianfeng. In the Tang family's home ground, she could do whatever she wanted with him. Fu Lanjun, if you dare to disrespect my wife again, I will kick you out of the Tang family's gate and never let you in again. Jiang Tian's face was calm. He slowly ate the strawberry, but his mouth was merciless. Zhao Huqing almost fainted. He even dared to scold the future grandson-in-law of the Tang family. Was he trying to get him killed? Jiang Tian had always been crazy, so he didn't dare to provoke him. He could only bitterly persuade, Jiang Tian, don't talk so much. Harmony is the most important thing. Take a step back and you'll have a better view. What's so great about her? If I ask her to scram, she has to scram. She's blind and two-faced. She doesn't deserve to be the daughter-in-law of the Tang family. Jiang Tian's eyes were indifferent, and his words were as sharp as knives. Fu Lanjun hated it when people mention this. She immediately felt wronged. She pulled Tang Jianfeng's arm and said, Jianfeng, look at him. How can he speak like that? You're courting death. You're just a live-in son-in-law and a lunatic. How dare you come to our Tang family? Tang Jianfeng stepped forward and coldly looked at Jiang Tian. He angrily rebuked, what bullshit Zhao family? A bunch of ants dares to boast shamelessly. Who are you to say who will be the daughter-in-law of the Tang family? Brother-in-law, don't lower yourself to his level. He's the son of the Tang family's third master and has joined the army. I'm afraid that he will be in charge of the Tang family in the future. Zhao Qianru's words were to remind Jiang Tian that this brat was not to be offended. It was better to be patient for the time being. Oh, so it's you, Tang Jianfeng. Hearing this, Jiang Tian was still calm and composed. He shook his head in disappointment and ridiculed. Your father begged me time and time again. He even knelt down and kowtowed for me to take you as my disciple. I originally wanted to test you, but it seems that you don't have the qualifications. Lunatic. This brat is crazy. The Tang family's third master knelt down and kowtowed to him? This brat's boasting can break the sky. This idiot is really tired of living. If he humiliates the Tang family like this, I'm afraid he will be cut into pieces by the Tang family's believers, right? Hearing this, everyone present was dumbstruck. They did not dare to believe it and looked at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at an idiot. Then they ridiculed him crazily. Qianru, do you think your brother-in-law? Is there any hope of curing him? Chu Yue was dumbstruck by Jiang Tian. The world of a madman was truly unreasonable. Tang Jianfeng flew into a rage, pointed at Jiang Tian's nose and scolded, Brat, you must be courting death. I heard that even Long Wu, Zheng Guangxia, gave you some face, but so what? I must chop you up today. Forget it, his mental state isn't too good. Why lower yourself to his level? Lu Tianle pretended to be a good person and scolded, Jiang Tian, why aren't you apologizing to young Master Tang? Who does he think he is to make me apologize? Jiang Tian laughed lazily and disdainfully. What if I'm included? Du Tao stepped forward and instantly attracted everyone's attention. Young Master Du is here too. Humph, with young Master Du, he will be scared to death. Everyone exclaimed. The Du family was one of the top 5 families in Linzhou City. His grandfather was once the secretary of Linzhou City's political and legal committee. His family owned a company with assets of over 2 billion and was backed by a powerful family in Jean City. Du Tao, is it? You're nothing, scram to the side. Jiang Tian did not bother to look at him. He smacked his lips and laughed. Qinyo, this dragon fruit is not bad, it's a red heart. Hee hee, you are indeed a madman. Du Tao laughed and looked at Jiang Tian as if he was looking at an idiot. Jiang Tian, you are really shameless. What if I'm included? Lu Tianle stepped forward and sneered. Not enough. Everyone was shocked to the point of numbness. They thought that he must be crazy. Tang Jianfeng, Du Tao, and Lu Tianle were all first-rate young masters in Linzhou City. Who would not be afraid when they joined forces? But this ant-like madman actually wanted to fight to the death. What did he have? Why are you talking nonsense with him? I will break his legs and let him know what the Tang family means. Tang Jianfeng's eyes were spitting fire. He stepped forward and was about to attack. Fine, since you are so stubborn, I will break one of your legs as punishment. Jiang Tian raised his eyebrows and was about to break Tang Jianfeng's leg. Suddenly, Lu Tianle pulled Tang Jianfeng to the side and said in a low voice, Forget it. After all, it is the Tang family's big day. It is not good to make a scene. We will teach him a lesson later. Yes. You are right, Tianle. Tang Jianfeng nodded and glared at Jiang Tian. He smiled maliciously. Good kid, just you wait. After you walk out of this door today, don't even think about living a happy life. At this moment, Zheng Li ran out and pulled Jiang Tian aside. She whispered, Master Kong, the auspicious time has arrived. It is time for the apprenticeship ceremony. Elder Tang wants to see you. Okay, I will go. Jiang Tian did not bother to look at the crowd. He pulled Zhao Xueqing and left. After Jiang Tian left, Fu Lanjun was so angry that her face turned green. She snorted coldly and said, Zhao Xueqing and Jiang Tian have repeatedly humiliated me. I am so angry. Yes, they are too arrogant. They are too arrogant. Lu Tianle said angrily. This was the Tang family's territory. Even he, the son of the mayor, did not dare to act rashly. How could a madman be so arrogant and despotic? When the apprenticeship ceremony is over, if I don't kill him, I will take his surname. Tang Jianfeng said fiercely. Jiang Tian's mental state isn't too good. Please don't lower yourself to his level. Please forgive him. Zhao Huqing and Wei Fong were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. They hoped that these young masters would show mercy and spare Jiang Tian and the Zhao family. Chapter 88. Humph. Forget it, Zhao Huqing. You have made a huge mistake by bringing him here. No one will forgive him. Fu Lanjun said coldly like a high and mighty empress. Zhao Huqing blacked out and fell backward. Wei Fong and Zhao Qianru hurried to support him. What a disaster. This kid is such a disaster. It's all my fault. I wanted to get close to the Jiang family. I went for wool and came home shorn. Zhao Huqing was angry and anxious. Tears streamed down his face. He was so regretful that he almost lost his mind. Suddenly, Tang Jianfeng looked at his phone and said excitedly, My dad said that Master Kong is here. The ceremony is about to begin. Let's go. Let's go and see. I can finally see Grandmaster Zhang's glory. That is Master Kong we are talking about. Everyone's heartbeat sped up and they looked excited. They gathered their friends and quickened their pace as they swarmed over. Behind the crouching dragon villa was the Tang family's ancestral hall. It was sacred and could be considered a forbidden area. It was only open to the public during the ancestral worship ceremony every spring festival. Today, the apprenticeship ceremony was held there as well. It showed how much the Tang family valued Master Kong. The apprenticeship ceremony cost a lot of money. It was an unprecedented event. The ancestral hall was refurbished. The lawn and trees were all trimmed and transplanted. A red carpet was laid on the ground and red lanterns were hung high. The banquet in the side rooms was prepared by famous chefs in Linzhou City. The dishes were exquisite. The wines were all rare aged wines that were rarely seen in the market or imported wines that were flown in by air. Master, I didn't know you and your wife were here. Please forgive me for being late. In the ancestral hall, When he saw Jiang Tian arrive, Tang Guizhou hurriedly bowed to greet him, and he cupped his fists humbly. Don't worry about it. I met a few kids outside. Jiang Tian cupped his fists and returned the greeting with a relaxed expression. Master Kong. Mrs. Jiang. Master Kong. Mrs. Jiang. Eastern Seas Yi Gufeng, Jiangzhou's Shuimingi, Linzhou's Long Wu, Zhengguangsha, and the other magnates stood up and cupped their fists respectfully. I am Tang Hongtu. Greetings to Master Kong and Madam Jiang. The eldest son of the Tang family, Tang Hongtu, also returned from the military zone. He led his two younger brothers to greet Jiang Tian. He was dressed in military attire and had a resolute face. Judging from his epaulets, he was a senior colonel. However, he was extremely respectful toward Jiang Tian, as if he was looking at a god. He used to be in the military and knew how powerful a transcendent master was. The young man in front of him may seem unremarkable, but in the future, there was a possibility that he could stand shoulder to shoulder with Yi Zhantian. Jiang Tian held Zhao Xueqing's hand with his left hand and walked into the ancestral hall hand in hand with Elder Tang. Everyone gathered around and greeted them with smiles and small talk. The Tang family's ancestral hall was magnificent and magnificent. It was covered in silver and gold, looking splendid and brilliant. In the middle of the large table, there were memorial tablets of the Tang family. There were more than 100 records of their ancestors. In the past few hundred years, the Tang family had produced 3 grand scholars, 2 generals, and 5 prefects. After the founding of the nation, the Tang family had more than a dozen influential officials, including many feudal lords. Today's apprenticeship ceremony was like adding oil to a raging fire, full of flowers and brocade. Inside the ancestral hall, yellow banners were hung, overlapping each other. On the antique table, 3 incense sticks were inserted into the bronze incense burner. Red candles, half the height of a person, burned, making the scene even more solemn and serene. Tang Weiman ordered the butler, "The ceremony is about to begin. Please take your seats." The butler immediately went out to announce the news. Many people had been waiting outside for a long time. As soon as they heard the news, they rushed into the Tang family's ancestral hall. Seeing this magnificent scene, everyone exclaimed in surprise. It turned out that the Tang family was not so powerful because of luck, but because of their deep heritage. Since ancient times, the Tang family had produced many talented martial artists. They were known as a scholarly family. Over the years, many influential figures had emerged. The Tang family is indeed powerful. Yeah, I never thought that the Ming dynasty martial artist Tang Shiji was the ancestor of the Tang family. This Tang Xuanji, an important minister of the Qing dynasty. The group of tycoons looked at the portraits of the Tang family's ancestors hanging on the wall and were all flabbergasted, sighing at their inferiority. It could be seen that the Tang family attached great importance to today's apprenticeship ceremony. Otherwise, they would not have opened the Tang family's ancestral hall to welcome guests from all over the world. The discussion gradually quieted down, and the solemn scene made everyone quiet down involuntarily. After the master of ceremonies announced, Tang Guizhou and his 3 sons walked out and lined up in front of the ancestral tablets. Elder Tang was the leader. Each of them held 3 incense sticks and bowed with a solemn expression. They closed their eyes and prayed. Everyone, I welcome you from all over the world to return the favor. After the incense sticks, Tang Guizhou turned around and looked at the crowd. Today, Master Kong has graciously accepted Tang Linglong as his disciple. It is the fortune of my good-for-nothing granddaughter, the fortune of the Tang family, and the fortune of my ancestors. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell silent. Everyone was shocked in their hearts. Elder Tang had praised Master Kong to the heavens. It was not wrong to say that it was Tang Linglong's fortune. It was a bit of an overstatement to say that it was the fortune of the Tang family. However, to say that it was the fortune of the Tang family's ancestors was to treat Master Kong as a god. What kind of ability does Master Kong have? Yes, the Tang family is so fond of him. Many people whispered to each other in disbelief. In the crowd, Fu Lanjun nervously stared at the 2 chairs under the table. That was where Master Kong would sit. When Elder Tang met her before, he said that she also had to kneel before Master Kong and obtain Master Kang's approval before she could enter the Tang family. Her heart was uneasy. She was so nervous that she clenched her fists. In her head, she was thinking about how to bow to Master Kong in a proper manner. She felt that the Tang family was too high to reach, let alone Master Kong, who was revered as a god by the Tang family. This kind of otherworldly expert usually had a strange temper and could not be judged by common sense. If he did not like her, she would be done for. She would have no hope of marrying into the Tang family. "Miss Tang, please light the incense for the ancestors." Elder Tang led his sons to the side. The MC gently reminded her. Today, Tang Linglong changed into a silk training suit. Her waist was tied with a belt, which made her waist even slimmer. Her chest rose and fell. She wore wrist guards and leggings, and she wore fish-scale shoes. She was dressed like a martial artist. Her long hair was tied into a neat ponytail. She did not wear any makeup, which made her look even more dashing. She held 3 sticks of incense in her hands and walked to the ancestral tablets. She bowed 3 times and lit the incense. Seeing this, Tang Jianfeng's face was filled with envy. His eyes were burning with passion, but he was also a bit resentful. "If I had known this, I would not have joined the army. Our Battle Tiger Special Forces does not have any transcendent state masters to guide us. If I stay in Linzhou and become Grandmaster Zhang's lackey, I might even be accepted as his disciple if I manage to establish a good relationship with him." Tang Linglong took a step back. Suddenly, the MC's eyes were filled with excitement. His face was solemn as he announced loudly, "Let's welcome Master Kong." The entire place was deathly silent. Everyone's eyes were rolling around, their eyes filled with excitement and joy. Many of them had heard of Master Kang's name more than once, but they had never seen Master Kong in person. Today, they were finally going to unveil his mysterious veil. Who wouldn't be excited? Everyone guessed that this Grandmaster Jiang should be an old man in his 70s or 80s. Either he was an immortal-like expert, or he was old-fashioned and conservative, reserved in speech and manner, and had a strict bearing. However, to everyone's surprise, a young man in a white t-shirt and casual pants walked out from the crowd and walked toward the brocaded armchair. "Fuck, Jiang Tian has gone crazy again," Lu Changfeng said with a shocked expression. "Why hasn't Zhao Huqing taken him away yet? He's up to no good again." Lu Tianle was sweating profusely. "Oh my god! He has gone crazy in the Tang family's ancestral hall. How is he going to deal with this? Is he going to be beaten to death?" Chu Yue's mouth was wide open in shock. Her face was filled with gloating. "He's dead meat." Du Tao shook his head and sighed. His eyes were gloomy. "The Third Lord and Dragon Fifth are here. Judging by their temperament, this guy is going to die. What should we do? This is a mess. Where's Zhao Xueqing?" Fu Lanjun was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. "Jiangteng, come back here. What are you doing?" Zhao Huqing and Wei Fang were scared out of their wits. They wanted to rush over and pull Jiang Tian back, but they were stopped by the hidden bodyguards. They were so anxious that they almost fell to the ground. "Jiang Tian, what are you doing? Get the hell out of here." Tang Jianfeng pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted loudly. He regretted that he should have beaten Jiang Tian up and thrown him out. A madman wearing a monkey's hat at the Tang family's grand ceremony would make the guests laugh their heads off. The group of people had different expressions on their faces. Some were watching the fire from the other side and taking pleasure in the other's misfortune. Some were indifferent and mocking. Some were anxiously walking around in circles, and some were furious and couldn't wait to tear Jiang Tian into pieces. Under the gazes of countless people, Jiang Tian lazily walked to the front of the chair, then slowly turned around and sat down in an imposing manner. He crossed his legs and appeared to be calm and composed. "Oh my god! The Zhao family is finished." Zhao Huqing's legs went soft and he sat down on the ground. His face was full of tears and his heart was full of despair. "This kid is in big trouble today." Wei Fang wanted to cry but had no tears. She didn't know what to do. Tang Jianfeng rushed out like an arrow, baring his fangs and brandishing his claws towards Jiang Tian's collar as he angrily shouted, Brat, get the hell out of here. What are you doing? Tang Wanyan jumped out like a monkey and slapped Tang Jianfeng hard in the face. He shouted angrily, "How dare you disrespect Master Kong?" Tang Jianfeng's head buzzed and blood spurted from the corner of his mouth. He covered his face and said in a daze, "Dad, what did you say? Why did you hit me?" "What did third Master Tang say?" "Zheng, Master Kong." "Who is Master Kong?" Not only him, but many people present were dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. Master Tang also didn't expect this to happen. He didn't even look at Tang Jianfeng and let him be dragged out of the circle by the bodyguards. He quickly walked up to Jiang Tian, cupped his fists and bowed respectfully. "Grandmaster Jiang, it's just a small mess. Please don't take it to heart." "What the hell? Jiang Tian is Master Kong? How is that possible?" Seeing this, everyone was stunned and in an uproar. They exclaimed as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. They couldn't believe it. Chapter 89. Don't worry. Jiang Tian nodded calmly. Elder Tang heaved a sigh of relief and said to the host, "Let's continue the ceremony." When Tang Linglong walked out and respectfully kowtowed to Jiang Tian 3 times and 9 times, she poured tea for Jiang Tian. "He is Master Kong?" Lu Changfeng's eyes were filled with horror. His mouth was wide open and his face was twisted. "He's actually Grandmaster Jiang. No wonder Dragon 5th Zheng Guangxia is so afraid of him. I was wrong from the start." A storm rose in Lu Tianla's heart. It was too late for regrets. He wanted to rely on his father's recommendation to become Master Kang's disciple, but now it was all for naught. "Oh my God! How is this possible?" Tang Jianfeng's eyes were filled with horror. His face was pale and he almost fainted. "I don't believe it. There must be something wrong." Du Tao's face was pale and cold sweat was pouring down his face. "Jiangtong, Master Kong." Fu Lanjuan's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Fu Lanjun had the most complicated feeling among the crowd. She and Jiang Tian had gone on a blind date before, but she had never placed Jiang Tian in her eyes. She thought that Jiang Tian was just a crazy idiot and could even be called a fighter among trash. In her eyes, Jiang Tian was even worse than those rich playboys who indulged in eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling. However, today she realized that Jiang Tian was the Master Kong that the Tang family worshipped like a god. Shock, regret, frustration, fear, all kinds of negative emotions enveloped her body and mind. Jiang Tian was so respected by the people of Jiangbei that even Tang Jianfeng's father, Tang Wanyan, was not worthy of carrying Jiang Tian's shoes. Originally, she thought that Tang Jianfeng was very charming and made her feel inferior. However, compared to Jiang Tian, Tang Jianfeng was overshadowed and looked like a clown. "Come, Mrs. Jiang, please take a seat. You should also drink the tea served by Ling Long." Elder Tang's face was full of joy as he humbly invited Zhao Xueqing to take a seat. "Elder Tang, is this okay?" Zhao Xueqing declined. When she saw Jiang Tian nodding, she sat down peacefully. She held Jiang Tian's hand and stood with her chest out and hands raised. Her actions were elegant, and her eyes were bright and shining. She was like a high and mighty empress, accepting Tang Linglong's kowtow and looking down at everyone. Even Tang Linglong bowed to her. Seeing this scene, Fu Lanjun only felt a lump in her throat. It was very unpleasant, and she almost cried. She looked enviously at the high and mighty Zhao Xueqing, and the remorse in her heart was like an overturning river and sea, unable to be suppressed. If she had recognized Jiang Tian's extraordinariness and chosen Jiang Tian, she could have replaced Zhao Xueqing's position. How glorious and glorious would that be? "Oh Zhao, take a look. Jiang Tian has become Master Kong." Wei Fang was feeding Zhao Huqing a pill. When she saw this scene, she was stunned and couldn't believe it. "Jiang Tian is Master Kong? Are you crazy? What's going on?" Zhao Huqing didn't believe it at all. When he was about to scold her, he was also dumbfounded. His crazy son-in-law was sitting in an armchair and accepting Tang Linglong's kowtow. His daughter was also sitting side by side with him. "Are my eyes playing tricks on me?" Zhao Huqing rubbed his eyes hard. He couldn't believe it at all. Jiang Tian was crazy. He was a good-for-nothing, the #1 idiot in heaven. He had caused countless trouble. Now, he had become the respected Master Kong. What was going on? Director Zhao, President Wei, congratulations. You have such a good son-in-law. What else can you ask for? A few officials and big bosses who were much more powerful than Zhao Huqing immediately surrounded the couple. They flattered and congratulated them. Old Zhao, you have good eyes. How did you see Jiang Tian's great ability? Wei Fang was also very excited. She was beaming. This was really a case of a man ascending to heaven. This world is too crazy. Zhao Huqing was dumbfounded. The muscles on his cheeks twitched violently. I've said it before. My brother-in-law is the most powerful person in the world. You didn't believe me. Zhao Qianru raised her chin high. Her pretty face was full of pride. Although the apprenticeship ceremony was complicated, it didn't take long. Soon, the ceremony was over. Recalling that Tang Jianfeng had scolded Jiang Tian, Tang Wanyan's heart was gloomy. He pulled Tang Jianfeng out from behind him and handed him a cup of tea. He introduced with a flattering face, Master Kong, this is my son, Tang Jianfeng. He would like to offer you a cup of tea. Oh, I've just seen him. Jiang Tian crossed his legs and used the lid of the teacup to remove the foam in the teacup. His posture was leisurely, but he had the demeanor of a master. At this time, Tang Jianfeng was so scared that his face was pale. He shrunk like a quail. His hands were so weak that he spilled more than half of the tea. He couldn't hold it anymore. Under Tang Jianfeng's respectful gaze, Jiang Tian smiled lazily and said, Tang Jianfeng, do you remember what I said just now? Master Kong, you can't blame me. It's all Fu Longjuan's fault for sowing discord. She said that you had humiliated her before. Tang Jianfeng was so scared that he couldn't hold the teacup. He trembled and spilled a lot of tea. Grandmaster Jiang, please have mercy on us. Hearing this, Fu Longjuan's head buzzed. She was so shocked that she almost fainted. She never thought that Tang Jianfeng would use her as a shield at this critical moment. She couldn't imagine what kind of terrible punishment Jiang Tian would use to punish her now that he was so powerful. Jiang Tian didn't bother to look at her. He smiled noncommittally and said, Oh, is that so? Master Kong, it must be so. Tang Wanyan trembled and said, I told them again and again not to be disrespectful to Master Kong. If it wasn't for this damned girl's bewitching words, Jianfeng wouldn't have dared. Master Kong, on account of my young and ignorant daughter, please forgive her this once. The head of the Fu family, Fu Leiming, knelt on the ground. His whole body trembled as he kowtowed. She's just an ant. I won't argue with her. Jiang Tian leisurely sipped his fragrant tea. This kind of ant wasn't worth mentioning. He could just scare her a little. If he really killed her, it would dirty his hands. She dares to be disrespectful to Master Kong. She has eyes but can't see. She has no morals and no knowledge. She's not fit to be the daughter-in-law of the Tang family. Tang Guizhu said with a gloomy face. He made the final decision. The marriage between the Tang family and the Fu family is now void. Grandpa, Master Kong, give me a chance? Fu Longjun let out a cry and rushed forward to kowtow to Jiang Tian. Miss Fu, please conduct yourself with dignity. Don't cause trouble at the ceremony. However, a few bodyguards immediately stepped forward and stretched out their arms to form an unbreakable human wall to block her way. 2 bodyguards even directly carried her out of the door. Let me go. I want to talk to Master Kong. Fu Longjuan's face was covered in tears and snot. She struggled with all her might. Her hair was disheveled and she even lost one of her high heels. In the end, she was dragged out by the bodyguards. Master Kong, please take a seat. Let's drink some wine together. Tang Guizhu said with a joyful face. Okay. Jiang Tian nodded happily. Then, under the escort of Elder Tang, Yi Gufeng and the others, they walked out of the ancestral hall together. After Jiang Tian took his seat, the ceremony officially began. Everyone suppressed the shock in their hearts and took their seats according to the arrangement. Zhao Huqing's family was pulled to the main seat by the Tang family. They drank and chatted with Elder Tang, making everyone envious. In short, The marriage between the left and right families means that he's like an emperor in the Tang family. Lu Tianla's eyes were filled with dread, and he was filled with grief. However, Jiang Tian didn't even look at him from the beginning to the end. Am I not even qualified to be slapped in the face by you? Lu Tianla was filled with anger, but it quickly turned into despair and helplessness. He would never be able to catch up with Jiang Tian's achievements even if he worked hard for the rest of his life. Among the guests, only Du Tao was able to maintain his composure. He didn't know much about Jiang Tian and he had a powerful backer. However, his eyes flickered and he felt a chill run down his spine. He is not even 30 yet, but he is already the Tang family's emperor and the godfather of Jiangbei. Cousin, I am afraid that even you are not as good as him. He thought of his cousin, Qin Bo, who was extremely talented and had made brilliant achievements in Jinling, overlooking the vast Jinling. He had thought that no one in Huaxia would be able to surpass Qin Bo. However, he didn't expect that there would be such a terrifying talent in Linzhou City. Qin Bo, I am afraid that you will have to speed up if you want to catch up with Master Kong. Now, he can even arm wrestle with your father. Suddenly, there was an uproar. The chairs at the head table moved as Jiang Tian stood up. It turned out that Master Kong had come out to propose a toast with the Tang family and the Zhao family. Grandmaster Jiang, it's been a long time. Now that I've met you today, you're indeed handsome and have an extraordinary bearing. Master Kong, I finally get to meet you. Master Kong, if you have time, please come to my house for a few days. Jiang Tian had been drinking for a long time. However, regardless of whether it was a tycoon or a high-ranking official, he would always drink in one gulp. They didn't dare to disrespect Zhao Huqing. They smiled and said, Brother Zhao, you have such a good son-in-law. You don't need to be a director anymore. Zhao Huqing's face was red from drinking. He smiled proudly and said, I still need to be a director? With a good son-in-law like me, you don't have to worry about not being able to rely on me for the rest of your life. I've always said that this son-in-law of mine is both talented and good-looking. Even Lu Wangfeng and Wu Chaohui are slightly inferior to him. I'm not afraid of offending you. My eyes are the best at judging people. Back then, my daughter Xueqing was the flower of Linzhou City. Many rich families wanted to marry me. However, I feel that Jiang Tian has unlimited potential. He is a talented young man. Today is indeed a good day. Zhao Huqing laughed. Everyone laughed along with him. Tang Weimin raised his wine glass and clinked it with Zhao Huqing's. He smiled and said, Director Zhao, I heard that you are doing well as the director of the Development Zone office. I wanted to give you more responsibilities. The Municipal Committee office is lacking a director. I didn't expect you to have the intention to retire. What? You want me to be the director of the Municipal Committee office? Zhao Huqing was shocked when he heard this. After being pinched by Wei Fong on the back of his waist, he finally reacted. He hurriedly drank the wine in his cup in one gulp, patted his chest, and said passionately, Since Secretary Tang thinks highly of me, then how can I leave? It's my duty. I'll do it. Jiang Tian was toasting at the head of the group, and Zhao Huqing, this cheap father-in-law, was following closely behind. He saw that Jiang Tian's t-shirt was wrinkled because of sitting for too long. Thus, he helped Jiang Tian fix his t-shirt countless times. After more than a dozen drinks, Jiang Tian finally stopped at the table of Lu Tianla, Tang Jianfeng, Fu Lanjun, Zheng Li, Chu Yue, and Lu Changfeng. Chapter 90. Mayor Lu, do you still think that your son is a good match for my sister-in-law? Jiang Tian asked with a smile. Lu Yue rose to his feet and said in a trembling voice, Master Kong, I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. Well, as long as you don't take revenge on the Zhao family? Jiang Tian smiled faintly. What is going on? Tang Weimin frowned and asked. Zhao Huqing leaned over and whispered in his ear. Well, look at what you have done. Just wait for the disciplinary committee to investigate you. Tang Weimin's face turned pale. He turned around and escorted Jiang Tian out of the room. Master Kong, Secretary Tang, please listen to me. Mayor Lu was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He collapsed under the table and frothed at the mouth. Dead. Honey. Mrs. Lu and Lu Changfeng panicked and started to slap Mr. Lu's face. Lu Tianle didn't even flinch when his uncle was beaten by Jiang Tian. He sighed and thought to himself, I am afraid that after today, no one in Jiangbei will be able to defeat Jiang Tian. No wonder he doesn't care about the Lu family. He is powerful enough to ignore them. It seems that the Tang family is treating Jiang Tian like a god. Looking at Jiang Tian's departing figure, Chu Yue's gaze was filled with terror and horror. Jiang Tian made a round of toasts. Then, under the escort of Elder Tang and the others, he entered the inner hall to discuss important matters. Other than Yi Gufeng, Zheng Guangxia, Dragon Fifth and a few other tycoons, there were also a few representatives from other major families. Even Zhou Zhenghao and Lu Zikuan were not qualified to join the meeting. The tycoons were not surprised and continued to eat and drink. They knew that Jiang Tian was like a dragon in the sky and not everyone could talk to him. Isn't Jiang Tian a lunatic? How did he become so powerful? Yeah. This is unbelievable. This is too strange. However, Lu Tianle, Du Tao, and the other young masters all had ugly expressions on their faces. They were upset as if they had just eaten a fly. Jiang Tian, the son-in-law of the Zhao family, was ignorant and incompetent. He was penniless and had been poisoned by alcohol. He was crazy and foolish. No matter how one looked at him, he didn't look like an expert. But now she had become a phoenix, leaped through the dragon gate, and became a dragon. She had become an honored guest of the Tang family, crushing them like chickens and dogs. Lan Jun, didn't you investigate Jiang Tian? How could this be? Lu Tianle looked at the dumbstruck Fu Lanjun and asked. Many people looked at Fu Lanjun gloatingly. After confirming her relationship with Tang Jianfeng, she became arrogant and offended many people. Moreover, they all knew that she had once gone on a blind date with Jiang Tian. She had even thrown Jiang Tian's gift at Jiang Tian's face and ridiculed Jiang Tian for being a toad lusting after a swan's meat. She was probably regretting it now. I don't know what happened either. Fu Lanjuan's face turned pale. She held Tang Jianfeng's arm and begged, Jianfeng, please beg Grandpa Tang and Master Kong again. We can't let our marriage go like this. Zheng Li raised her glass and savored the taste. She sneered in her heart. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have done it in the first place. Offending Master Kong is a dead end, isn't it? After Jiang Tian and the others left, Tang Jianfeng said angrily, Humph! I don't need his approval. I will marry you if I want to. No one can stop me. He didn't expect that a lunatic could suppress him. He even knelt in front of everyone and was slapped by his father. The more Tang Jianfeng thought about it, the angrier he became. If it weren't for the Tang family, he wouldn't have dominated the Jiangbei region. None of the people present dared to agree. Everyone was silent. He was the young lord of the Tang family, so he could show off. However, no one dared to offend Master Kong. Suddenly, Tang Wanyan walked out of the room and bellowed, Come here, you bastard! Dad, what are you doing? Tang Jianfeng's face turned pale, but he still followed his father. He followed his father into the tea room and saw Jiang Tian sitting on a wooden armchair, sipping tea calmly. Beside him were Old Man Tang, his two uncles, and Yi Gufeng. They all looked at Chen Fan with reverence. Old Man Tang had already figured out what was going on. His face was as white as a sheet of paper. Tang Jianfeng was taken aback. Tang Wanyan slapped Tang Jianfeng's face and scolded, You bastard! Apologize to Master Kong. Tang Jianfeng felt dizzy from the slap and staggered a little. However, Tang Jianfeng could only cower under the immense pressure. He said in a trembling voice, Master Kong, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. Forgive you? Jiang Tian leisurely sipped his tea and said with a faint smile, Have you forgotten what I said before? I have already apologized. What else do you want? Tang Jianfeng's blood rushed to his head as he shouted. Bastard! How can you talk to Master Kong like that? Do you have a death wish? Everyone from the Tang family shouted. Jiang Tian swallowed a mouthful of tea and smiled. I told you that I will break one of your legs as punishment. You! Tang Jianfeng's face was horrified. He looked at everyone from the Tang family for help. Tang Wanyan's face darkened. He forced a smile and said, Master Kong is still in the military. If he breaks his leg, I am afraid that it will affect him greatly. Shut up, third brother. Old man Tang slammed the table and said angrily, he doesn't look like a soldier. Xiao Wei, break his leg. How dare you, guard Wei? Seeing that old man Tang was angry and Xiao Wei was approaching, Tang Jianfeng's face paled. He suddenly ran toward the door. Colonel Tang seemed to have doubts about whether I have reached the transcendent state or not. Jiang Tian smiled at Tang Hongtu and then waved his finger. Then open your eyes and see for yourself. Puff! A translucent wind blade, more than a meter long, swept out like mercury flowing down the ground. Tang Jianfeng's leg was cut off as he ran toward the door. Blood gushed out from the wound and he fell to the ground. Tang Jianfeng bounced on the ground, leaving a trail of blood on the floor. Jianfeng. Tang Wanyan cried out involuntarily. His heart ached and his face twitched. He turned around and looked at Jiang Tian. His face was indifferent and his posture was relaxed as if nothing had happened. Take him out. Elder Tang waved his hand, not showing the slightest displeasure. Instead, he bowed gratefully and said in a deep voice, Thank you, Mr. Jiang, for teaching him a lesson. Let him know that there is always someone better out there. A transcendent grandmaster? There are only a handful of them in the entire Huaxia army. Tang Hongtu exclaimed in disbelief. Is this the power of Master Kong? He even broke Tang Jianfeng's leg. I am afraid that from now on, Master Kang's voice will be the only one in the entire Jiangbei region. When Tang Jianfeng was carried out of the room, Lu Tianle, Fu Lanjun, and Du Tao were all stunned. Cold sweat ran down their backs and their faces were as pale as a sheet. You can't afford to offend Master Kong in Linzhou. The timid young Master Tang was trembling in fear as if he had seen a ghost. Well, this kid needs to be taught a lesson. Jiang Tian's expression was calm as if nothing had happened. He looked at the dumbfounded Tang Hongtu and said with a smile, What did you just say? You want me to be the head sergeant of the War Tiger Special Forces? Yes, Master Kong. As the saying goes, if you have good martial arts skills, you can sell them to the king. Tang Hongtu said patiently. Grandmaster Zhang's cultivation is so heaven-defying. I am here to invite you to join the War Tiger Special Forces and become the head sergeant. After hearing his explanation, Jiang Tian finally understood the situation. There were 6 military regions in Huaxia, and each of them had their own ace special forces. Each of them had around 1,000 members. The War Tiger Special Forces were carefully selected from the 6 military regions. There were only 100 of them and they were directly under the command of the General Staff Department. The elimination rate of this special forces was an astonishing 90%. They carried out top-secret military missions and their casualty rate was as high as 20%. Every member of the War Tiger Special Forces cost a few million to train. Most of them were martial artists. Many of them were peak-stage iron body martial artists and internal force users. They were the most valuable assets of the country. Tang Hongtu served in the General Staff Department and he directly contacted the War Tiger Special Forces on behalf of the General Staff Department. That was why he invited Jiang Tian. The head sergeant of the War Tiger Special Forces would have a few general stars in the end. Of course, it might take some time. But if you are interested, you can join the War Tiger Special Forces and become a colonel. After the introduction, Tang Hongtu said with a face full of admiration. Everyone else was also envious. He would be a colonel at the very beginning. He was almost 50 years old and had just been promoted to a colonel with the support of the Tang family. However, Jiang Tian was only 25 years old and he had already achieved it. At this time, Tang Linglong was moved. She smiled and said, Master, please go ahead. When the time comes, I will be the head sergeant of the War Tiger Special Forces. How cool would that be? Jiang Tian crossed his legs and smiled. How is the War Tiger compared to the Huaxia Long Formation? Well, Tang Hongtu was taken aback and said, the Huaxia Long Formation is not part of the military. It is used to fight against the supernatural forces and suppress the evil martial artists. The War Tiger Special Forces is nothing. Most importantly, the Long Formation has Yi Zhantian as its leader. We only have one transcendent grandmaster. There is still a long way to go. Then, his face was full of regret and helplessness. It seems that I am not suitable for the War Tiger Special Forces. I don't know how to command and I don't know how to use modern weapons. Jiang Tian shook his head and said lightly. Plus, I have not reached the peak of my cultivation. I need to focus on my cultivation. Where would I find the time to think about these things? Master Kong, you don't want to join? Tang Hongtu couldn't believe it. The position of the head sergeant of the War Tiger Special Forces was coveted by countless heroes. He calmed himself down and explained, the War Tiger Special Forces have a clear division of tasks. Master Kong only needs to teach them martial arts. As for modern weapons, tactics, cooperation, and anti-terrorism, there will be other instructors to take over. You don't have to worry about it. Let me think about it. I really don't have the time right now. Jiang Tian cracked a smile and said, I still need to go to the Shinong School's Elixir Exchange Conference with Master Chiu. I need to make another breakthrough. The head sergeant of the War Tiger Special Forces was a high position in the eyes of others. However, in Jiang Tian's eyes, it was not worth mentioning. Back in the day, he had conquered all races in the universe. Countless emperors, immortal emperors, and monster emperors revered him. He had enjoyed all kinds of glory. After 10,000 years of ups and downs, he had seen through everything. He only cared about his wife, family, and friendship. Chapter 91. However, he was afraid that people would think that he was being unreasonable. Therefore, he had no choice but to let it pass. That's indeed the case. We've already discussed this on the cruise ship. Chiu Gong said with a smile. Everyone looked at Chiu Gong in a different light. It was an honor to be able to accompany Master Kong. Mr. Jiang, why don't you think about it again? Tang Hongtu tried to persuade Jiang Chen again. However, Old Man Tang waved his hand and smiled. Forget it, Hongtu. Master Kong is very busy. He can't give you a reply right away. That's all for today. It's getting late. I have to go. After that, Jiang Tian took Zhao Xueqing's hand, stood up, and slowly walked away. After sending Jiang Tian and the others out of the door, the Tang family members returned to the tea room. Tang Hongtu pondered for a while and then frowned. Father, what did we do wrong today? Why did Master Kong reject the invitation? It's all Jianfeng's fault. How did you teach your son? Tang Weimin glared at Tang Wanyan. Second brother, didn't you also not see Grandmaster Zhang's ability back then? Tang Wanyan's face was filled with embarrassment. Master Kong is a dragon among men. He has the ability to swallow the sun and the moon. Why would he care about Jianfeng's provocation? That's not the point. Old Man Tang pondered for a while and then suggested. Hongtu, you can try to persuade the other grandmasters as well. No! Tang Hongtu shook his head bitterly. Our leader once went to Hubei province to ask Hong Tianzhao for help, but he refused. Hong Tianzhao has already reached the phenomenal state. Elder Tang's eyes flickered when he heard that. He nodded and said, he alone dominates Hubei province and has tens of billions of assets. He's used to being a local tyrant. Naturally, he won't take your invitation to heart. Then he heaved a sigh and said, the other grandmasters are older and more senior. I'm afraid they won't agree either. Are these martial Dao grandmasters as arrogant as master? Why don't you accept such a good offer? Tang Linglong interrupted. A grave expression appeared on Elder Tang's face as he sighed. A martial Dao grandmaster is like a divine dragon in the heavens. They're all tyrants and have already achieved success and fame. Why would they be willing to come out of seclusion? He sighed deeply and said, Hero Wu of the Wu family is famous in the southwest, and his influence covers the Yungere region. Hu Qingtian stood on both sides of the Yellow River, and all the heroes of the Central Plains bowed to him. They called him the sky-supporting pillar of the Central Plains. Yi Dao Denier of the Yi clan, who ran amok in the Yangtze River Delta and dominated the Suzhou and Zhejiang regions, was so rich that it could rival a country. Li Tuofeng of the Northwest, traversing the great desert of the western border with eagle eyes and wolf eyes, looking down on the world with disdain. He is also known as a tyrant of a region. But Master Kong is still very young and hasn't made a name for himself yet. Why did he refuse? Tang Hongtu was unwilling to accept this. If he could get on Jiang Tian's good side, War Tiger might be able to compete with the Huaxia Long formation. At the same time, due to the merit of his referral, he would probably receive 2 stars on his shoulder. Master Kong will be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with Yi Zhantian in the future. Of course, he is arrogant. As soon as Elder Tang said this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Master Kong values family and kinship very much. I'm afraid he can't bear to part with his wife and family. Elder Tang's eyes glinted with wisdom as he said, "Have you heard that the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company is not doing well and that the Jiang family of Jinlin City is in deep trouble?" Yeah. Yi Gufeng asked us to raise a few billion on the high seas gambling ship. He said it was for the Jiang family's emergency. Tang Wanyan slapped his thigh and exclaimed excitedly, "You guys are talking too much. What War Tiger and Dragon Group Martial Dao Grandmaster? I finally have the right to interrupt. It seems that if we want to invite Master Kong, we should work on the Jiang family." Tang Guizhu pondered for a moment and said with a serious face, "Yes, Master, I understand." Tang Hongtu and the other 2 nodded and said solemnly. At night, back at the Zhao family's Lakeview Villa, Zhao Huqing and Wei Fong called Jiang Tian, his wife, and Zhao Qianru to the study and said solemnly, "Jiang Tian, children, we have a family meeting today." Zhao Qianru sneered and said happily, "Dad, we only have a few people in our family. A small company and a family. You're too good at flattering yourself." Zhao Huqing smiled awkwardly. Wei Fong said seriously, "Be serious. Now that we have your brother-in-law, things are different." Zhao Qianru's face immediately tensed up. Zhao Huqing coughed and said, "Today, I called you here to announce something important. From today onwards, Jiang Tian will be the chairman of Zhao Pharmaceutical Company and lead the overall situation." Jiang Tian waved his hand and said, "Uncle Zhao, Auntie Zhao, this is difficult. I don't understand business management. I don't want to do it." Zhao Huqing smiled and said, "Son-in-law, I know you are very capable and have a lot of connections. Our family's company is a little small and we've wronged you. However, the Jiang family situation is not good now. You have no obstacles here, and you can show off your skills." Wei Fong also tried to persuade Jiang Tian with a face full of joy. "That's right, Jiang Tian. If you make some achievements here, you can return to the Jiang family in the future. You can even wield the power of the family." Jiang Tian smiled bitterly and said, "Uncle Zhao, Auntie Zhao, don't mention this again. I really don't have the time." Zhao Huqing and Wei Fong's faces fell as they looked at each other. Without Jiang Tian's help, Zhao Pharmaceutical Company had missed a great opportunity. Zhao Huqing hesitated for a moment and said apologetically, "Jiang Tian, is it because Uncle Zhao and Auntie Zhao's attitude towards you was not good before? Did you feel a little uncomfortable? If you're unhappy, you can kick me or punch me." "Uncle, what are you talking about? I didn't perform well before, so it's natural for you to be prejudiced against me." Jiang Tian was calm and indifferent. He said calmly, "Yes, I still have a lot of things to do. I really can't split myself." Zhao Huqing thought about it and agreed. Jiang Tian was now on the same level as Elder Tang, and many powerhouses in Jiangbei had submitted to him. What he was going to do must be earth-shattering. Why would he care about Zhao Pharmaceutical Company? Thinking of this, he and Wei Fong sighed at the same time. Jiang Tian smiled and said, "However, we are still a family. If something happens to the family, how can I just stand by and watch? It's the same whether I take this position or not." Zhao Huqing was overjoyed when he heard this. He slapped his thigh and said, "Jiang Tian, it's enough to hear you say that. Qingya, from now on, you will be the chairman, and your auntie will be the president to help you. What do you think?" "Jiang Tian, can I do it?" Zhao Xueqing was still a little hesitant and didn't know how to decide. She looked at Jiang Tian and asked. From the head of the R&D department to the chairman, it was a qualitative leap. She was not valued at all in the Zhao family, and she was even suppressed. But now, she was going to be the chairman. She understood that this was all because of Jiang Tian. It could be said that when a man achieves the Tao, even his chickens and dogs will ascend to heaven. But at the same time, she also understood that the problems she had to face were more and more complicated. It was a challenge. Why not? Wei Fang held her hand and said affectionately, Jiang Tian is so capable. He will help you, and your father and I will also support you. Yes, Qingya, don't decline. Zhao Hucheng said with a smile. Sister, you can do it. You are the best, we all believe in you. Zhao Qianru said innocently. Xueqing, no matter what you do, I will support you. In the end, Jiang Tian also spoke. Zhao Xueqing's beautiful eyes flickered. She looked around at everyone and finally nodded. Okay, then I agree. With Zhao Xueqing's low profile and gentle personality, she actually didn't like to show her face. But she felt that Jiang Tian was already too dazzling and stood too high. If she didn't work harder, she might be forgotten and abandoned by Jiang Tian one day. In the remaining few days, Jiang Tian drew countless sketches and combined them with the feng shui of No. 1 King's Mansion to determine the method of setting up the spirit-gathering formation. With his beloved wife by his side, Jiang Tian's heart was filled with peace and satisfaction. His efficiency was also much higher. On this day, Zhao Xueqing suddenly received a phone call. She hurriedly ran to Jiang Tian's side. Mom called. Jiang Tian's eyes suddenly turned red. He was emotional. Homesick. Since his rebirth, he missed his parents very much, but he didn't have the courage to call them. The guilt in his heart was too heavy, and he didn't even have the courage to face it. If he didn't offend that wealthy family in Yanjing, the three major families in Jinling wouldn't have dared to make a move on the Jiang family. In his previous life, his parents wouldn't have died. Jiang Tian picked up the phone. Stinky monkey, you didn't bully Xueqing, right? Don't think that you are so great just because you are a member of the Jiang family. Xueqing is gentle and sensible. She is definitely worthy of you. If you dare to bully her, this old lady will skin you, a monkey. Your grandfather allowed you to marry into the Zhao family only as a temporary measure. Don't blame your grandfather for being ruthless. When the Jiang family settles down, I will definitely bring you and Xueqing back. Don't indulge in debauchery outside. Which of those girls in the bar is as pretty as Qingya? And none of them are clean. Aren't you afraid of getting sick? Jiang Tian had just said one sentence when his mother's words came out like a string of cannonballs. His mother, Zhang Wanqing, came from the Zhang family in Yanjing. Back then, she was one of the top socialites in Yanjing. However, she fell in love with his father, who came from an ordinary family. At that time, the Jiang family hadn't risen yet. The Zhang family looked down on them and didn't agree to this marriage. After Zhang Wanqing married into the Jiang family, she relied on a few ancestral prescriptions of the Jiang family to run the small Medicine King Corporation. She entered the Jinling market from a small Qixia county and spread her influence throughout the country. 2 years ago, she was successfully listed and her market value reached billions. Zhang Wanqing could be said to be a strong woman. She had a tenacious personality and was even more resolute than her father, Jiang Zhixing. She was extremely efficient and spoke the same way. But the last sentence from his mother made Jiang Tian's face turn red. He gloomily said, Mom, don't talk nonsense. Xueqing is listening. Xueqing is here too. Mom is joking. Zhang Wanqing smiled awkwardly. Don't worry. Zhao Xueqing sweetly called out. Jiang Tian is very obedient now. He has never done anything reckless. Good, good, good. The two of you love each other and are safe. I even have the energy to work. Zhang Wanqing was gratified. Jiang Tian could feel his mother's deep love and worry. His eyes welled up with tears and he forced a smile. Mom, you have to take care of yourself too. Don't throw your life away when you work. Don't worry. With me around, the Medicine King Corporation won't fall. Chapter 92. Of course, my son is the best. Zhang Wanqing had an inexplicable confidence in Jiang Tian. She smiled and said, If you have time, come back to Qixia County and visit me and your sister Wei Wei. Why are you in Qixia County? Jiang Tian was stunned. My mother is the CEO of the Medicine King Group, and the headquarters of the Medicine King Group is in Jinling. Why do I have to go back to Qixia County? It's all because of your uncle and aunt, Zhang Wanqing scolded angrily, then changed the topic. It's okay, Qixia County is pretty good. This was where the Medicine King Group started its business. I won't be discouraged. I'll start all over again and create more glory. Mum, don't worry. I'll come back to visit you soon. Jiang Tian smiled stiffly. After hanging up the phone, his eyes shone with a sharp, cold light. His mother didn't say it clearly, but Jiang Tian recalled the memories of his previous life. His mother was the founder of the Medicine King Group and was once the CEO. However, after he offended that big family in Yanjing, his uncle's families started to use this as an excuse to wantonly weaken his mother's authority in the family business. Now, his mother was no longer the CEO of the Medicine King Group. She had been demoted to the general manager of the Qixia pharmaceutical factory. She wasn't even the manager of a branch company. His mother had sacrificed too much for him. In order to protect him, she had given up her dreams and future. Thinking of this, Jiang Tian felt pain in his heart. His eyes gradually became firm as he thought to himself, Mom, in my previous life, I was a good-for-nothing. I caused you a lot of trouble and became the shame of the family. In this life, I must change my fate and become your glory. I'll help you control the Medicine King Group and fulfill your long-cherished wish of becoming the Queen of Medicine. I'll set up the Spirit Gathering formation as soon as possible and break through to the middle stage of Qi refining. Then I'll go back to visit Mom, Dad, and Sister Weiwei. Jiang Tian's eyes became more determined. Just as he was thinking, there was a knock on the door. He Gufeng, Qiu Gong, and Tang Linglong arrived together. Master Kong, the pill exchange is about to start. Mr. Yi has spent a lot of money to buy a few tickets. We can leave now. Qiu Gong bowed humbly. You still need to buy tickets? Uncle Yi, how much did you spend? Jiang Tian asked in surprise. Not much. A ticket is only a mere 1 million. Yi Gufeng smiled faintly. TSK, this Shenong school and the Hong family really know how to make money. Jiang Tian shook his head and was secretly speechless. That's right. Although Shenong school lives in seclusion in the remote mountains and marshes, it has a profound foundation and a huge industry in the secular world. Duke Qiu nodded and said with a smile, I've made a rough estimate. I'm afraid it's at least 100 billion. In the cultivation world, many sects were divided into outer and inner sections. The outer court was in charge of managing the businesses of the mortal world and plundering wealth. The inner court was in charge of cultivating diligently, raising their cultivation base and combat strength, and providing protection for the outer court. The two went hand in hand. It seemed that many sects in Huaxia were the same. Jiang Tian seemed to have understood something. He nodded slightly and smiled. Linglong, are you here to join in the fun as well? Master, please bring me along to broaden my horizons. Otherwise, if I go out and don't know anything, wouldn't I ruin your reputation? Tang Linglong was wearing a white training suit. Her aura was ethereal and cold. She had already begun to have the temperament of a cultivator. That's good. Then let's go together. Jiang Tian nodded and smiled faintly. Jiang Tian, how long are you going to be gone for? I can't bear to leave you. Before they parted, Zhao Xueqing pulled Jiang Tian's hand and shook it. She was about to cry. Still crying? Jiang Tian scratched her delicate nose and said with a smile, It won't be long. I'll be back in a week. Then you must be careful and take care of yourself. Zhao Xueqing reluctantly said her goodbyes. Jiang Tian asked Ghost Kick to stay in Linzhou to protect them. He did not alert anyone else and brought Tang Linglong and Duke Qiu to the elixir exchange meeting. 3 days later, on the highway in Hubei province. Mr. Jiang, the Shenong school is located in the mountains of Shenangjia in northern Hubei province. It's very low-key and mysterious. Duke Qiu was also a powerful cultivator. However, in front of Jiang Tian, he trembled as if he was treading on thin ice. He smiled apologetically and said, The Shenong school is proficient in alchemy. Among the many sects, it is ranked in the top 3 in the world. Secondly, It is excellent in martial arts. It is comparable to the back mountain of Amei Wudong. Medicine and martial arts are both top knowledge. How can the Shenong school take care of both? Tang Linglong was in charge of driving. She was puzzled and asked. Jiang Tian had been cultivating for thousands of years. He had seen countless sects that were famous for medicine and alchemy. He was very clear about this. Immediately, he smiled and said, Linglong, no matter how high your cultivation is or how great your abilities are, can you guarantee that you will be invincible? Jiang Tian said calmly, even if you are the best in the world, who can guarantee that you will not be injured or poisoned for the rest of your life? Hearing this, Tang Linglong nodded and said, Master, you are right. Martial arts cultivators lick the blood on the blade. It is inevitable that they will be injured or poisoned. They will need people to treat them. If you can become friends with medicine and alchemy experts like the Shenong school, they will be able to save your life with a little trick. That is equivalent to having an extra life. Master Kang's insight is so profound. This old man is very impressed. Duke Chiu said with reverence. They can not only cure diseases, but also refine some alchemy pills to change one's foundation and improve one's cultivation. Needless to say, this is very attractive to martial artists. That is why the Shenong school has friends all over the world. They are the most difficult to provoke. Some famous sects are even willing to use their most powerful techniques to befriend the Shenong school. Yes, that's the reason. How can the Shenong sect not be strong since they have learned so much from others? Jiang Tian said with a smile. Master Kong, please don't call me Duke Chiu. Just call me Chiu Chiu. Duke Chiu said nervously. Master Kong was already a transcendent grandmaster, but he was only at the peak of internal force cultivation. How could Master Kong call him Duke Chiu? Jiang Tian let out a wry smile. Duke Chiu's cultivation was not bad, but he had such a funny name, Yuan Chiu Chiu. Hengkao is just up ahead. The Elixir Exchange Conference will be held at Mount Garuda in the suburbs of Hengkao. Why don't we rest here tonight? Yuan Chiu Chiu said with a smile. Mount Garuda was a county-level city with a population of around 300,000. The environment was pleasant and the city was affluent. As soon as Jiang Tian entered Mount Garuda, he immediately caught a whiff of a bitter herbal aroma. Looking around, the streets were filled with traditional Chinese medicine shops. Some of them were even hawking their wares by the roadside. Mount Garuda is right next to Shenangjia. The trade of traditional Chinese medicine is very developed. It is also known as the medicine capital, Yuan Chiu Chiu explained. Jiang Tian nodded and scanned the herbs with his divine will. However, he was disappointed. Most of these herbs were cultivated by humans using fertilizers and pesticides. They lacked spirit qi and some were even poisonous. A while later, they arrived at the medicine capital hotel. It was a 5-star hotel with a nice environment. After they checked in, Jiang Tian and Yuan Chiu Chiu went to the restaurant for dinner together with Tang Linglong. Jiang Tian, why are you here? While they were eating, a surprised voice called out to them. Jiang Tian turned around and found the voice familiar, but he couldn't remember who it was. He cracked a smile and asked, Who are you? She was a tall and well-dressed girl in her late 20s. She was dressed in a professional suit, and her features were as beautiful as a painting. Her makeup was exquisite. You're crazy. I don't even recognize your cousin. Are you looking for a beating? The girl glared at Jiang Tian and gave him a punch. Oh, it's you. Why are you here? Jiang Tian immediately understood and smiled. So, it was his second uncle's daughter, Jiang Lin. Jiang Lin was the pride of the Jiang family. She graduated from Huaqing University's School of Management and participated in the management of the family. She negotiated a few big projects and was now a middle-level manager in the Medicine King Group. Her annual salary was 500,000 to 600,000. Jiang Lin was doted on by the elders and was like a princess in the Jiang family. She had always been arrogant and proud. In her previous life, she looked down on Jiang Tian, the devil incarnate who caused trouble time and time again. She often mocked him. However, Jiang Lin was loyal to the family and was responsible. She fought side by side with her grandfather and persevered until the last moment of the Jiang family's collapse. From this point, Jiang Tian didn't like her, but he didn't hate her either. I'm participating in the elixir exchange to see if I can buy some prescriptions. With a trace of sorrow between her brows, Jiang Lin sighed. The products of our Medicine King group aren't doing well now. Oh. Jiang Tian nodded as a hint of seriousness appeared between his brows. In his previous life, the Chen family of Jinling's herbal corporations suddenly got hold of many precious prescriptions and started to target the Medicine King Group's products. The Medicine King Group's products didn't sell well, and this was the main reason why the Medicine King Group's capital chain was broken. What are you doing here? Why aren't you staying in Linzhou City and being a hedonistic young master? Jiang Lin asked curiously. The Zhao family had been keeping Jiang Tian's alcohol poisoning a secret from the Jiang family. In Jiang Lin's eyes, Jiang Tian was still the hedonistic young master who bullied people in Jinling. I'm the same as you. I'm also here to participate in the medicinal pill exchange. Jiang Tian said with a faint smile. You're representing the Zhao family? Jiang Lin smiled disdainfully. The Zhao family pharmaceutical corporation's research and development ability is very poor. You want to buy prescriptions with just a few million yuan? Can you even afford it? Hee. Jiang Tian smiled. He couldn't be bothered to explain. He was the Taichu Celestial Lord and had already reached the pinnacle of elixir prescriptions. Why would he need to buy prescriptions? He was here to see if Shenong School had any wood-type cultivation resources. Jiang Tian, everyone at the elixir exchange is an expert. Don't you go around causing trouble. Otherwise, I'll tell Grandpa and ask your parents to teach you a lesson. Jiang Lin put on the airs of a big sister and threatened with a stern expression. I know. I won't go around. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and didn't argue with this cousin of his who was using a chicken feather as an arrow. Jiang Lin, you're here? Why don't you have a drink with me at the bar? Suddenly, a teasing voice sounded. Jiang Tian turned his head to look. Surrounded by a few young men, a tall and handsome young man walked over arrogantly with a sinister smile on his face. Chen Bo! Jiang Tian's face darkened. A murderous glint flashed across his eyes. Chapter 93. Chen Bo was the young master of the Chen family, one of the three most influential families in Jin City. He was well known in the circle of Jin City tycoons. Although he was not a martial artist, he graduated from the Ivy League Business School and had worked for a renowned pharmaceutical giant. He was the head of the herbal group. In Chen Bo's previous life, Jiang Tian had always been under his shadow. Chen Bo and Jiang Tian were both from a family of pharmaceutical giants. They had similar backgrounds and were often compared to each other. Jiang Tian was a useless piece of trash that didn't have a single penny to his name, while Chen Bo was a handsome young man that seemed to be even more outstanding. In Chen Bo's previous life, Chen Bo commanded the herbal group to launch a series of attacks on the Medicine King group. In the end, the Medicine King group was unable to make ends meet and declared bankruptcy. Jiang Tian still remembered that after the fall of the Jiang family, Jiang Tian and Jiang Lin went to Chen Bo and begged him to give them some shares. But at that time, Chen Bo was like a noble that felt disdain towards Jiang Tian, and he wantonly humiliated and ridiculed Jiang Tian and the others before beating them up like wild dogs and blasting them out of the door. Seeing Chen Bo, Jiang Lin's face flashed with a hint of panic, but she soon calmed down and said, "Of course I am willing to drink with young Master Chen, but unfortunately, I have something important to attend to tonight." Hee, what is more important than accompanying young Master Chen? Jiang Lin, young Master Chen is giving you face, yet you don't want to give him face? The few young masters were like stars surrounding the moon. They clustered around Chen Bo as they approached and sneered. Come with me. Do you think I will mistreat you? Chen Bo smiled evilly and whispered a few words into Jiang Lin's ear. As for Jiang Tian, he didn't even look at him. It was as if Jiang Tian was a puff of dirty air. Jiang Lin's face paled. She shook her head and took a few steps back. Are you going to turn me down? Chen Bo was enraged. He sneered and said, I am going to drag you away. What are you going to do about it? Let's go, young Master Chen is only treating you to a drink. Suddenly, a few of his followers rushed forward and dragged Jiang Lin away. Master Chen, I really can't go. If you do this again, I'll call the police. Jiang Lin was so scared that her face turned ghastly pale. She struggled with all her might and begged for mercy. Chen Bo was one of the top thugs in Jinling, committing all sorts of crimes. What good would come of following him? Several staff members who followed Jiang Lin stepped forward to mediate, but the other party did not give them any face at all. He lifted his foot and kicked them to the ground. For a moment, the employees were dumbfounded. In the business world, they were used to deceiving each other, but when had they ever seen such a scene? What are you doing? How dare you molest a young lady in broad daylight? Several patrolmen rushed over when they heard the news and wanted to stop them. You're asking for a beating. A young master rushed out from behind Shinbo and slapped the head of the police. He scolded harshly, I'm here. Can't you see me? Young Master Jiang, we're sorry, we'll leave now. The police officers were so scared that their faces turned pale. They kept quiet out of fear and bowed as they left. Young Master Jiang was the son of the mayor of Mount Garuda City. He was a tyrant in this city and no one dared to provoke him. If young Master Jiang wanted to be unreasonable, he would probably tear down the Medicine City Hotel and strip them of their police uniforms. Young Master Chen came to Mount Garuda City this time and invested 300 million to build a pharmaceutical company. He's an important investor of our city government. Can you afford to be blamed for affecting the investment environment? Young Master Jiang shouted at the police officers and became even more arrogant. He pointed at the group of police officers and scolded them. Seeing that the police did not dare to intervene, Jiang Lin was even more desperate. She was about to cry. Chenbo, how dare you bully a woman of the Jiang family? Are you tired of living? Get out of here. Suddenly, a calm voice sounded, making Jiang Lin, who was in despair, happy. However, when she saw that it was Jiang Tian who spoke, she could not help but feel bitter. Jiang Tian, don't cause trouble. This cousin of his was ignorant and incompetent. Ever since he was expelled from Jinling, he had lost his mind. Wasn't he courting death by going against Qinbo? Besides, the Medicine King group was on the verge of collapse. How could he afford to offend Qinbo? In her opinion, Jiang Tian should have called the police or begged for mercy. He should not be so direct. Oh, isn't this the loser Jiang? How dare you talk to young Master Chen like that? Do you still think you're the young master of the Jiang family? Your engagement was broken off and you even went against that family in Yanjin. You were even expelled from your family. How dare you say that young Master Chen is tired of living? You're just a loser. Among the young masters, a few of them were from Jinling and were close to Jiang Tian. They immediately mocked and ridiculed him. Chen Bo put his hands in his pockets and looked at Jiang Tian as if he was looking at an idiot. He said arrogantly, Jiangdan, how dare you talk to me like that? How dare you? Now kneel down and kowtow to me. Call me Grandpa 3 times and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, he smiled maliciously and looked at Chen Bo with disdain as if he was looking at an ant that he could easily crush. Shut up, Jiang Tian snorted. His face was still indifferent, but Qiu Gong had already stepped forward. Slap, slap. The crowd didn't even see how Qiu Gong attacked. They only heard a few crisp sounds as the young masters holding onto Jiang Lin were sent flying by him. Humph! How dare you disrespect my master? Do you want to die? Yuan Qiuqiu was servile to Jiang Tian, but he was still a master at the peak of internal force and a general under Yi Gufeng's command, so he naturally had a strict temperament. He did not care about a few young masters from the secular world. After beating them up, he linked his hands behind his back and looked at the group of young masters arrogantly. I'll kill you if you don't get out of my sight. Everyone was shocked as they didn't expect the old man to be so powerful. Even Qinbo's face changed. The Jiang family had sent an elite to protect Jiang Tian? What was going on? As the host, young Master Jiang felt that he had lost face. He jumped 3 feet high and flew into a rage. Old man, you're crazy. How dare you hit my friend? Just you wait, I'll call the police and they'll shoot you. He immediately took out his phone and dialed a number. Don't leave if you dare. A few young masters got up and surrounded Jiang Tian. Both sides were in a stalemate. Master, do you want me to call my grandpa and ask for help? Tang Lingling was a little worried. If the police came, they would have to interrogate and mediate. Although it wouldn't threaten Jiang Tian, it would be troublesome. No need. Let's see how long they can be arrogant. Jiang Tian was indifferent and aloof. His expression was like an audience sitting in the corner of a theater. Right at this moment, a chilly voice sounded out and berated. Chen Bo, what are you doing? How dare you? Everyone turned their heads to look and saw a beautiful woman about 30 years old slowly walking over. She was wearing an aqua-green cheongsam with embroidered shoes on her feet. Her wrist was wrapped with several circles of red sandalwood antique Buddhist beads. Her features were picturesque, and her temperament was ethereal and otherworldly. However, her waist was slender, and her full chest rose and fell. Her figure was extremely charming, and there was a kind of seductive feeling to it. It was impossible to tell her age. She had the lazy charm of a 30-year-old woman but also the vitality and innocence of a 28-year-old girl. Her charm was extraordinary. Sister Mange, you're here already? When he saw this woman, Chen Bo's face instantly trembled, and a deep expression of fear appeared on his face. He smiled obsequiously and bowed with cupped fists. If I didn't arrive so quickly, I wouldn't know that you're just an outer disciple. The woman, who was called Senior Marshal Sister Mangu, walked over with a disdainful snort. Miss Mange, this is all a misunderstanding. I'm just joking. Young Master Jiang was even more embarrassed. He nodded his head and bowed like a loyal dog meeting its owner. Slap. Without another word, Lady Mangu raised her hand and slapped young Master Jiang's face, causing him to stagger backward. But young Master Jiang didn't dare to act rashly. He covered his face and stood there awkwardly. If you continue to mess around, I'll tell your father to punish you. Miss Mange's tone was calm, but the coldness in her eyes made young Master Jiang break out in cold sweat. He kept apologizing. So she's the top disciple of Shinnong School, Miss Mange. At this moment, Jiang Lin seemed to have thought of something and was shocked. She then looked at Miss Mange with admiration as if she was a fangirl meeting her idol. Master Chiu, I'm sorry. It's all our fault for not organizing properly and causing a misunderstanding. Lady Mangu smiled and came before Yuan Qiuqiu. She cupped her fists and smiled. It's okay. Since you're Miss Mange's friend, everything is negotiable. Seeing that Jiang Tian didn't want to pursue the matter, Yuan Qiuqiu returned the gesture. Is Master Feng from Donghai not coming this time? Miss Mange looked around and asked with a smile. Oh, he's busy with work and asked me to accompany this young man. Yuan Qiuqiu pointed at Jiang Tian. May I know this young master's name? Lady Mangu bowed and looked at Jiang Tian from head to toe before asking with a sweet smile. I'm Jiang Tian from the Jiang family of Jinling City. Jiang Tian put down his teacup and said casually, Oh, I see. Welcome to the Elixir Exchange. If you have any trouble, just tell me my name. Seeing that Jiang Tian looked ordinary and didn't seem like a big buyer, Lady Manji's eyes flashed with a hint of disappointment. She bowed and turned to leave. I'll let you go this time for Senior Mange's sake. Chen Bo shot a cold glance at Jiang Tian, then led the others out as well. Chen Bo walked out of the door and quickly caught up with Miss Mange. Senior Mange, why do you have to give face to the Jiang family? They can't take it anymore. That Jiang Tian is a piece of trash. Do you know who Master Chiu is? Miss Mange sat in a Mercedes-Benz and said coldly. He seems to have some background. Chen Bo started the car and looked confused. So he is the Yuan family's chief consecrator, an internal strength expert. Although the Yuan family was destroyed more than 10 years ago, he is not someone you trash can afford to offend. Lady Mange sneered. So what if he's an internal force expert? Our Shinnong School's internal force cultivation is at least 80 if not 100. Chen Bo said flippantly. You're just an outer disciple, how dare you call yourself a disciple of the Shinnong School? Miss Mange frowned and said with disgust and disdain. He's a guest. No matter what, he's here with a ticket. If he gets into trouble on the Shinong School's territory and you guys bully him, wouldn't you be a joke? Senior sister, I'm sorry. Chen Bo was scared out of his wits and suddenly said with shame, "If you dare to do it again, I'll kill you." Miss Mange leaned against the table and closed her eyes to rest. Her tone was light, but her eyes were full of murderous intent. Chapter 94. In the restaurant of the hotel. After they left, Jiang Lin walked to Jiang Tian and said gratefully, "Jiang Tian, thank you for helping me, don't worry about it." Jiang Tian waved his hand. He didn't take it to heart at all. They were just a few bastards. So what if he killed them? Anyway, you can't be so impulsive next time. Chen Bo is so powerful. You're no match for him. Seeing Jiang Tian's arrogant face, Jiang Lin was inexplicably angry. She put on a bossy attitude and scolded, "You're lucky that you met Ms. Mange. Otherwise, you would have been beaten to death. My master saved you. How can you say that about him?" Tang Linglong couldn't stand it anymore. "I'm telling the truth." Jiang Lin glared at Tang Linglong. This girl was so beautiful, but unfortunately she was a fool. She was fooled by Jiang Tian and even called him master. Jiang Tian doesn't know shit. He has been bullied by Chen Bo countless times in Jinling. Her face was filled with disdain as she said, "Jinling is thousands of miles away now. If something really happens, how can the family help Jiang Tian? Jiang Tian would be trampled to death like an ant. He wouldn't even be able to let out a cry." Jiang Lin, maybe in your eyes, Chen Bo is so powerful that he can't be offended. You can only let him bully you. Jiang Tian sipped his tea with a leisurely and indifferent expression, and his tone was flat. "But in my eyes he's only an ant, a speck of dust, and he's not even worth a fart. If I want to crush him, I can do it with one finger." "You!" Jiang Lin was stunned. Then, she looked at Jiang Tian as if he was an idiot and said angrily, "Jiang Tian, you've learned how to brag now. You don't even care about Chen Bo. You're not even comparable to his finger. You're so arrogant and impulsive. You don't fit in with the rules of society. You're the bane of the Jiang family. You can only drag the Jiang family into the abyss. Just like how you offended that big family in Yanjing a few years ago." Then he got up and left. "Jiang Lin!" Jiang Tian shouted. "What are you waiting for? You don't even call me cousin anymore, you've really grown up." Jiang Lin stopped in her tracks and said coldly without even turning her head, "I don't blame you for looking down on me." Jiang Tian said calmly, "I know that you want to revitalize your family. No matter what our relationship was before, I admire and respect you for this. If you run into any trouble here, just look for me. I will definitely protect you." When Jiang Lin heard this, she couldn't help but laugh. Her eyes were filled with disdain as she said, "Oh, my little Tianan has really grown up. You can even protect your cousin. But forget it. You'd better stay away from me. I'm still worried that you'll provoke others and get me killed. Just take care of yourself and don't get killed." After saying that, she left in a huff. Tang Linglong was so angry that her face turned red. She gritted her teeth and said, "What a stupid woman. Master, why do you even care about her?" "She's family after all." Jiang Tian shook his head with a wry smile. He then turned around and asked, "Master Chiu, what's the background of that lady called Mange?" Reporting to the great master, this woman's name is Shin Mange. She's the descendant of the Shun family in Yanjing. She's now the first disciple of Shinong School. The current leader of Shinong School, Zhou Zimu, is her mentor. Master Chiu quickly bowed and said, "I heard that this lady is very good at dealing with people and business. She's very good at business and business. She's deeply trusted and doted on by the leader. That's why she's in charge of Shinong School's business. She's also in charge of this year's elixir exchange." "I see." Jiang Tian nodded and wiped his mouth with a tissue. "Master Kong, there's a small elixir and Dharma artifact exchange at 100 Herb Manor in the city tonight. Why don't we go and take a look?" Master Chiu suddenly suggested. "A small elixir exchange?" Jiang Tian was a little confused. "That's right. This elixir exchange is open to martial artists and wealthy businessmen. Master Chiu said, actually, tomorrow's elixir exchange is the official event. You can't enter by buying a ticket. You can only enter by receiving an invitation from Shenong School. He sighed and said, even with Master Feng's influence in Donghai, he can only get a ticket to a small elixir exchange. Alright, let's go and take a look. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Tang Linglong drove the car and arrived at a manor in the suburbs in a short while. The 100 Herb Manor was built against the mountain under the cover of a dense forest. It was very simple and unadorned. The walls were made of yellow mud and covered with rice stalks. Outside, there were mulberry, elm, hibiscus, bristle, and all kinds of young branches. Following the twists and turns, there were 2 rows of green fences. Outside the fences, there was a well at the bottom of the hill. Beside it, there were ancient objects like oranges and winches. In the courtyard, there were herbs everywhere. In the manor, there were a few apricot and peach blossoms that looked like they were spitting fire. Under the shade, there was a thatched cottage. Ginseng, Dahurian angelica, roseroot, gastrodia tuber, solanum nightshade, and so on. There were so many that one couldn't see the end of it. The fragrance of the herbs was refreshing. This Shenong school is quite unique. It's quite antique. Tang Linglong was amazed. She smiled and said, compared to this, my third uncle's manor is quite tacky. This Shenong school is quite impressive. However, when Jiang Tian scanned the courtyard with his divine sense, he found that there were at least a dozen iron body internal strength experts guarding the courtyard. There wasn't a single internal strength expert in Linzhou. In Donghai, there was only one internal strength expert. In the entire Lingnan, there were only a few internal strength experts. However, this manor of the Shenong school had so many experts. It was obvious that they were quite powerful. After showing their tickets, Jiang Tian and the others were immediately let in. The usher led them to a courtyard. Looking at the scenery around them, there were paper windows, wooden beds, stone tables, and rockery. The atmosphere of wealth was washed away. It was simple and unadorned, but it was wonderful. At this moment, there were dozens of rich people and martial artists from all over the world sitting in the spacious courtyard. These martial artists were all wearing modern clothes. Some of them were in suits and leather shoes. They were all branded, like nouveau riche. Some of them were fashionable, wearing ear studs and nose rings. They were in the style of rock and roll or hippie. There were all kinds of styles. Jiang Tian secretly shook his head. Some of them were chatting with each other. Some of them were quietly setting up stalls to sell herbs and dharma artifacts. Martial artists nowadays are not as fickle as they used to be. The ancient style is gone. Seeing this, Qiu Gong shook his head and sighed. Hey, isn't this the great ape fist expert, Qiu Gong Yuan Qiu? I haven't seen you in a while. Someone recognized Qiu Gong and greeted him warmly. Who is this guy behind you? Is he your disciple? Qiu Gong was startled and scolded. Shut your mouth, Bull Demon King. This is young Lord Jiang from Linzhou. He is an expert. On the way here, Jiang Tian had reminded him not to reveal his true strength and to keep a low profile. However, the scene of Jiang Tian condensing his qi into a fist on the blue whale gambling ship and killing Li Feihu with a single punch had already been deeply imprinted in his soul, causing him to think highly of Jiang Tian. Qiu Gong realized this and didn't introduce him in detail. He pointed at the Bull Demon King and said, Niu Bowen, an expert in Qiguan fist. He has also achieved initial success in his internal force cultivation. Jiang Tian nodded at him. This Niu Bowen was tall and powerful. He was wearing a black leather waistcoat, revealing his black chest hair. He looked very bold and powerful, but there was a nose ring on his nostrils, which made him look a bit funny. You are from Linzhou? Niu Bowen rose from his seat and smiled. Not many martial artists from Linzhou come here. I heard that there is a Master Kong in Linzhou who claimed to have reached the Grandmaster level. I wonder if it is true. Hee, Bull Demon King, don't listen to those people from Jiangbei. They say that Kong Teichu is only 25 years old, but he has already reached the Grandmaster level. What a joke! A young martial artist in an Armani suit shook his head and said with disdain, "That's true. I bet they are just bluffing. Those people from Linzhou are exaggerating." Tang Guizhou is a talented martial artist, but he has never reached the internal force level. Even the most powerful martial artist in Foshan Mountain, Li Zhenwei, has only reached the internal force level. No wonder they are spreading lies. Everyone at the scene nodded in agreement. Martial artists like them had been practicing hard since they were young. However, they had only reached the iron body state, and the strongest among them had only reached the internal force level. It was unbelievable that a young man in his early 20s claimed to have reached the transcendent state. "What do you know?" Tang Linglong was not convinced and wanted to defend herself. However, Jiang Tian waved his hand and signaled her to keep quiet. Zhang Yanghao, the imperial physician of Yanjin, and Ms. Mange, the top student of Shenong School, have arrived. At this moment, there was a sudden announcement at the door. Everyone no longer paid attention to Jiang Tian and the others, and swarmed forward. To put it bluntly, most of them were buyers, while the real sellers were almost concentrated in the Zhang family and the Shenong sect. Zhang Yanghao was in his 80s. His white beard reached his chest. He was wearing a white tang suit and a pair of old cloth shoes. He was playing with an antique enamel snuff bottle in his hand. He looked like a medical expert. There were a few disciples behind him, including Ms. Mange, whom Jiang Tian had met at the hotel. Zhang Yanghao, the former imperial physician who treated the leaders of the country. Impressive. I heard that he is an all-rounder in acupuncture, medicine, massage, and many other aspects. That's nothing. He uses his qi to perform acupuncture and treats injuries. Even if a martial artist is seriously injured or sick, he can treat them. Everyone was talking about him with admiration in their eyes. "Thank you, my dear friends and family, for coming all the way here to participate in the elixir pills and artifacts exchange." Zhang Yanghao had already walked over while they were talking. He cupped his fists and said with a smile, "It's worth it even if we have to break our legs to meet Miracle Dr. Zhang Yanghao." Everyone flattered him and worshipped him as if he was a god. "Sai, what kind of miracle doctor am I? I'm just a lackey of sect leader Zhua." Zhang Yanghao said politely, but there was a hint of pride in his eyes. "I've begged sect leader Zhua for 20 years and finally joined Shenong School. I'm now an outer elder. Congratulations, Miracle Dr. Zhang. Congratulations, Miracle Dr. Zhang. After 20 years, you finally got what you wanted. Now that Miracle Dr. Zhang is an outer elder, your medical skills must be even more profound." Once again, the crowd began to flatter him. Chapter 95. If anyone needs anything, feel free to tell me. We can start other transactions now. Zhang Yanghao sat on the stone bench and chuckled as if it was a great honor to be the lackey of sect leader Zhua. "Divine Dr. Zhang, I have an ancient recipe for black jade rejuvenation ointment. I wonder if the Shenong School can help me make it? I am willing to exchange it with the recipe." "Madam Mange, my senior brother is suffering from qi deviation. I would like to ask for your qi smoothing pill. The price is negotiable. Divine Dr. Zhang, my son's constitution is too weak. Do you have the leopard fetus channel easing pill?" Suddenly, the crowd swarmed forward and surrounded the two of them. They begged and begged. Some of them used cultivation techniques and ancient books to exchange, some used pill recipes and old herbs, and some even took out checks. The other martial artists and rich businessmen also started to move. Some of them set up stalls to sell so-called Dharma artifacts, divine weapons, and even exchanged cultivation techniques. Jiang Tian scanned with his divine sense and found that the so-called Dharma artifacts and divine weapons were thousands of miles away from the ones he made. Needless to say, those cultivation techniques were extremely crude. He was bored, so he borrowed a pen and paper and set up a stall. He pulled up a banner, "Body tempering cultivation techniques, essence pills, talismans, but must be exchanged with spirit herbs or wood or earth element array materials." When the crowd saw it, they were all dumbfounded and could not believe it. "Isn't this kid too amazing? He knows martial arts, spiritual spells, talismans, alchemy, and array formations. Maybe he's buying it for his sect or his family elders. The crowd could not believe it. They pointed and talked among themselves. Jiang Tian's small banner contained a lot of information. It showed that Jiang Tian was proficient in medicine, alchemy, array formations, and martial arts. These were the treasures of the Huaxia civilization and were extremely profound. Ordinary people could dominate a region and look down on the heroes if they were proficient in one, let alone being proficient in these skills. Young master, do you have essence pills? Niu Bowen came over and cupped his fists respectfully. Jiang Tian nodded. Can you let me take a look? Niu Bowen was immediately delighted and asked humbly. Jiang Tian poured one out of the porcelain bottle and handed it to Niu Bowen. It looks pretty good and has a nice fragrance. I wonder if it's real or fake. Niu Bowen couldn't make up his mind. He smiled and asked, "Excuse me, young master, where did you get this pill?" "Of course, I made it myself." Jiang Tian sat on the stone bench with his legs crossed, his face calm and composed. "You refined it yourself? You're proficient in alchemy?" Niu Bowen cried out in surprise, as if his chrysanthemum had been pierced. "Isn't this too godly? To be able to refine medicinal pills at such a young age. You really made it yourself. Let me take a look." This shout attracted everyone's attention. More rich people and martial artists swarmed up and surrounded Jiang Tian. Their faces were full of shock and reverence, and they asked this and that. "Humph, Jiang Tian, you're an ignorant and incompetent trash. How can you refine medicinal pills? Who are you kidding?" At this moment, a cold sneer sounded. Chen Bo strode over with a sneer on his face. Young Master Chen is here. Everyone knew that he was an outer disciple of Shenong School, so they didn't dare to neglect him. They respectfully stepped back and made a path for him. Chen Bo came closer and stood still. He looked down at Jiang Tian and said disdainfully, "Mr. Niu, don't believe him. He's just a disciple of a medical family in the secular world. He's such an idiot that he can't even write an ordinary prescription, let alone refine medicinal pills." He glanced at those medicinal pills, sneered and shook his head. "These are fake. They look good and have a nice fragrance. They must have added flavor and pigment. Don't talk about cultivating essence qi. They're more like rat medicine." Well, Niu Bowen didn't know who to believe. "You're just an outer disciple. What do you know? How dare you criticize my medicinal pills?" Jiang Tian looked at Chen Bo, who was making trouble, and said with a sneer, "Of course, this is a real elixir and it's a top-grade elixir. Compared with mine, the elixir of your Shenong sect is just trash. You're too arrogant. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Shenong School is the best in the alchemy school in the world. Who can compare with it?" As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Everyone couldn't believe it and looked at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at a fool. Shenong School was a big sect in the alchemy school. It ranked the top 3 in the world in terms of refining medicinal pills, but Jiang Tian said that the medicinal pills of Shenong School were trash. This was simply boasting and extremely arrogant. Chen Bo was so angry that his whole body trembled. He sneered and said, "You're just an idiot. How dare you boast in front of me? Do you want to die? Who do you think you are?" Jiang Tian said disdainfully, "You're just an outer disciple. Even if Leader's Wo was here, I would still dare to say that." Chen Bo was so angry that the muscles on his face twitched violently. He roared loudly, "Left and right, beat this guy to death and throw him out. How dare he make fake prices in the territory of our Shenong clan and behave atrociously?" In his mind, Leader's Wo was proficient in medical skills and was like an immortal. However, he was humiliated by Jiang Tian, a good-for-nothing. How could he bear it? "Yes, Senior Brother Chen." Several handyman disciples looked serious and immediately approached Jiang Tian. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. They thought that this reckless guy was going to be in trouble. "Chen Bo, don't be rash." Suddenly, a majestic voice came. Zhang Yanghao and Ms. Mange came over together. Everyone retreated one after another, consciously opening up a path for him. "Elder, senior sister, This guy is talking nonsense. Chen Bo's face turned serious. He cupped his fist and bowed. Then he complained about Jiang Tian's evil deeds. Shut up. Zhang Yanghao didn't listen and waved his hand to stop him. Then he cupped his fist and said to Jiang Tian, "May I have a look at the pill that this young man refined? I heard that this guy is Zhang Yanghao's disciple." Jiang Tian looked at Chen Jisher, who was behind Zhang Yanghao, and nodded slightly. Disciple Chen Jisher greets the great miracle Dr. Jiang. Chen Jisher bowed deeply and looked very humble. "Please have a look." Jiang Tian didn't want to talk nonsense and handed over a pill. Zhang Yanghao revealed a scrutinizing look as he took the pill. His beloved disciple Chen Jisher said that this guy was proficient in medical skills and had cured Mr. Tang. So he came to take a look. But in fact, he was very dissatisfied with Jiang Tian's nonsense. Oh my God! But the moment Zhang Yanghao took the pill, his body trembled as if he was struck by lightning. He was stunned and petrified on the spot. What's wrong? Everyone was confused. This is a 9-aperture spiritual pill. It can be said to be a top-grade pill. Zhang Yanghao was so excited that he couldn't control himself. He couldn't stop trembling and said in a trembling voice, "Looking at the shape, it has 9 apertures. Look at the color, the essence is restrained and the spiritual energy is dense. Smell it, it refreshes the heart and refreshes the mind, and the fragrance will last for 3 days. Top grade. It's even a top-grade pill." As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. Everyone was in an uproar. Essence pill could cultivate the essence of blood, let the iron body condense inner strength, and let an external expert cultivate inner strength. It was originally a heaven-defying pill. But it was very rare. Even a low-grade pill was priceless and hard to find. And now, what Jiang Tian took out was actually a high-grade essence pill. Wouldn't people fight over it? "Little brother, how much are you selling this pill?" Everyone's eyes were burning. Like money grubbers who saw a treasure, they rushed to Jiang Tian. "Elder, you didn't see it wrong, did you? This brat is just a good-for-nothing idiot." Chen Bo didn't give up and said anxiously, "How can he refine a top-grade essence pill? How can I see it wrong? You can't even refine a pill. What do you know?" Zhang Yanghao frowned and glared at him, looking unhappy. "Get out." Slap. Madame Mange raised her hand and slapped Chen Bo. Her beautiful face was cold as she scolded angrily, "You disgrace, you don't know the face of an expert. If you dare to disrespect Mr. Jiang again, I'll kill you." Eldest senior sister. Chen Bo felt wronged, but when he met Madame Mange's cold eyes, he didn't dare to talk nonsense and left embarrassedly. "Little brother, how much is this pill?" "I'll pay 1 million, give me one." "Are you crazy? You want to buy a top-grade essence pill with 1 million? That's the price of a low-grade pill, okay? Young master, no matter how much it costs, I'll buy it all. Just name your price." After Jiang Tian's medicinal pills were approved by Zhang Yanghao, everyone present no longer had any doubts. They surrounded Jiang Tian so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. They waved their checks and bank cards, pushing and shoving each other, as if they were afraid that if they fell behind by even half a minute, they would all be snatched away. For martial artists, the essence pill was too important. It was the key to breaking the shackles between iron body and inner strength. It could be said that it was a miracle pill that could change their fate. Its value was immeasurable. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tian didn't even look at the checks and said indifferently, "Everyone, I'm sorry. I said that I don't want money. I only want spirit grass, spirit medicine, and 5 elements array materials." Array materials? Spirit grass and spirit medicine are too rare. Who can have them? Everyone was disheartened. These things were extremely rare and even normal martial artists couldn't get their hands on them. A young man in a white Armani suit said slowly, "Young man, I will give you the swallow water art in exchange for 10 pills. What do you think?" This is Tang Chenbian, the 3rd lord of the Tang sect in Shu province. The Tang sect's lightness art is the best in the world. Someone revealed the origin of this young man. Young Lord Tang. The swallow water art is one of the most powerful lightness art of the Tang sect, I wonder. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian in shock. The Tang sect in Shu province was known for its powerful lightness art. They could walk on water, leap over walls, and fly into the sky. Legend had it that the top assassin in the Republic of China, Wang Yaqiao, was a disciple of the Tang sect. He had founded the Axe Gang and assassinated many politicians. Even Huang Jinrong and Du Yuexing were afraid of him. In the end, it was Boss Dai who used a dozen gunmen to set up a trap. Wang Chongyan, the leader of the Blue Cloth Society, was also the most powerful overlord in Zhonghai at the time. I don't lack cultivation techniques. Jiang Tian's face was calm as he shook his head without hesitation. This young man is so powerful that he doesn't even care about the Tang sect's art. Tang Qinbian's face changed slightly. In the end, he shook his head in disappointment and said sourly. Meanwhile, Ms. Mange's interest was piqued. She pointed at the pills on Jiang Tian's stall and asked, "Young Lord Jiang, what kind of pills are these? Can I have a look?" Chapter 96. Take a look. Jiang Tian handed her the pills and introduced them calmly. This is a small recovery pill. It can treat poisons and internal and external injuries. It can strengthen the body and cure all diseases. This is a rising dragon meridian changing pill. It can transform the bone structure, strengthen the bones and meridians, and make the ordinary person have the potential to become a martial artist. This is a vitality-enhancing pill. It can nourish the breath and help an iron body martial artist to advance to the inner force stage. This is a bottle of fire spirit pill. It can treat cold poison and ice. It can even cure Lou Gehrig's disease. Jiang Tian spoke tirelessly as if he was familiar with his family's treasures. His face was calm and emotionless. What? The vitality-enhancing pill is so powerful. Small recovery pill, fire spirit pill, rising dragon meridian changing pill. These pills are too powerful. However, everyone turned pale with fright as they cried out in surprise. The way they looked at Jiang Tian was filled with passion. Madame Mange looked at the pills and exclaimed with admiration, "Mr. Jiang is really a master. These pills are pure and abundant. Almost all of them are top-grade pills, and there is no lack of top-grade pills." Hearing that, everyone's eyes burned even more. At this time, Zhang Yanghao pondered for a moment and suddenly said, "Master Kong, can you sell these pill recipes to us?" "What do you mean?" Jiang Tian asked. Red Wall Imperial Medical Hall can do it, and so can Shenong School. I think they can all afford this price. Zhang Yanghao said reservedly. This guy is going to strike it rich. Once these words were spoken, everyone nodded one after another, looking at Jiang Tian with envy. Red Wall Imperial Medical Hall was backed by the central government. How much money could they not afford? Shenong School's secular industry was huge. Its assets were not in the hundreds of billions, but tens of billions. Naturally, it was not a problem. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tian shook his head and sighed. "It's useless to give you the pill recipes. You can't refine them." These pills were all nourished by Jiang Tian's true essence. They could not be refined with only a charcoal furnace. Madame Mange's expression turned strange, her beautiful eyes narrowing as she asked, "Could it be that Senior Jiang is an alchemist?" As soon as he said this, everyone looked at Jiang Tian with even more shock, as if they were looking at a god. Alchemy was the most popular occupation in the cultivation world. Even a transcendent grandmaster couldn't compete with it. Any sect or family, as long as they had an alchemist, would be able to provide them with an endless supply of pills. What kind of expert could they not cultivate? That is, there are a lot of talents, and the wind is blowing and the water is rising. However, the study of alchemy was profound and subtle, and it was extremely particular about talent and comprehension. Therefore, alchemists were far rarer than cultivators. As the saying goes, martial arts masters are easy to find, but alchemists are hard to find. That's right. Jiang Tian nodded calmly. What did an alchemist count for? His alchemy skills had shocked the universe, and he had hundreds of elixir ancestors, elixir venerables, and elixir saints. Zhang Yanghao secretly clicked his tongue and said, "Senior Jiang, if you are interested, Why don't you join the Shenong school? I will do my best to recommend you to sect leaders. Not to mention the vice sect leader, you can at least be a hall master or an inner sect elder. Yes, if Senior Jiang becomes sect leaders was disciple, I am willing to give up the position of head disciple. Madame Mange also agreed. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian with an envious expression, their expressions excited. The famous Shenong school had extended an olive branch to Jiang Tian. And once he joined, he would be an elder or a head disciple. That would be second only to one person. Damn, my grandpa gave sect leaders 10 million in benefits, so I could become a servant disciple. But Jiang Tian is going to become an inner sect elder. How can this be compared? In the distance, Chen Bo was so shocked that his face turned pale. He was envious and jealous, as if he had eaten a fly. I can't let him have his way. Otherwise, won't he kill me? Chen Bo was afraid, angry, and scared. His face was livid, and his fists were clenched so tightly that they made cracking sounds. He roared crazily in his heart. Thank you for your kindness, Elder Zhang. Unexpectedly, a trace of indistinct disdain appeared on Jiang Tian's face, yet he said very politely, "It's just that I've always been a lazy person, and I really can't stand the restraint of the sect's rules." He refused. This is an invitation from the Shenong school. Everyone couldn't believe it and was petrified. I heard that Senior Jiang is here, and he is proficient in refining medicine. I am here to pay you a visit. At this moment, a hearty laugh suddenly came in, and a tall man in training clothes walked in with a majestic gait. The man was about 50 years old. He was tall and strong, and his aura was strong. He had a square face with whiskers, and a pair of tiger-like eyes were shining. He had an extraordinary temperament, and he was bold and unrestrained. Patriarch Hong. Patriarch Hong is here. Greetings, Patriarch Hong. The martial artists and rich people present were all in awe. They parted like the tide and made way for him. They bowed respectfully and cupped their fists. I didn't know that Patriarch Hong was here. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you. Even Ms. Mange and Zhang Yonghao didn't dare to be negligent. They treated him with respect and humility. The Hong family was the largest martial arts family in Yi province, and they had been passed down for hundreds of years. As the leader of the Hong family, Hong Tianzhao was already at the transcendent stage. He was one of the top 20 grandmasters in Huaxia, and he was famous for his fighting prowess. What's more, he was generous and forthright, eager for justice and good karma. He had many friends in the martial arts world and had high prestige. In the martial arts world of Huaxia, only the few veteran grandmasters like Hu Qingtian of the Central Plains, Wu Yingxiong of the Southwest, and Wood Camel Peak of the Northwest could suppress him. In Yi province, if the Shenong sect was a living immortal above the sea of clouds on the mountain peak, Hong Tianzhao was a ferocious dragon that could control the wind and rain and stir up trouble in the province. It's okay. We are people of the martial arts world. We don't need to care about these details. Hong Tianzhao laughed heartily. He cupped his fists and then asked curiously, where is that great alchemist Jiang? Bring me to him. Under the guidance of the crowd, Hong Tianzhao walked quickly to Jiang Tian. Oh, look at my stinky mouth. That old man makes great alchemist Jiang sound old. The moment he saw Jiang Tian, he suddenly slapped his mouth and laughed. He's obviously a young man. He's quite handsome too. That he's so cool and handsome. Hong Tianzhao's humorous words made the people present burst into laughter. Next to him, Qiu Gong had already introduced this person to Jiang Tian. In terms of worldly businesses, Yi Gufeng was far inferior to Hong Tianzhao, a tycoon who dominated the entire province. He was like a speck of dust. In terms of martial arts, Li Zhenwei and the others who were ranked at the top of Lingnan could not be compared. Hong Tianzhao was not only a transcendent grandmaster, but also a powerful person. He had friends all over the world in politics, business, and martial arts. He was the king of Yi province. Hearing this, Jiang Tian's face was calm. He cupped his fists and said, I am Jiang Tian of Jinlin City. Nice to meet you, Mr. Hong. Mr. Jiang, I see that Qiu Gong is with you. You must be a martial artist. Hong Tianzhao looked deeply into Jiang Tian's eyes and said, "If you are interested, join the Hong family. I will make you the first guest elder. You and I will call each other brothers. We will sit around the stove and talk through the night. We will learn from each other and discuss martial arts together. Wouldn't that be great?" As soon as he said that, everyone was excited. The Hong family was so powerful and had 100 years of history. They wanted to rope this young man in as their guest elder. Even Hong Tianzhao wanted to call him brother and study martial arts with him. What kind of honor was that? Then Hong Tianzhao threw out another bomb. "Also, I will give you 3% of the Hong family shares. You only have to do it once a year. It won't affect your study of martial arts or alchemy." Everyone was stunned by Hong Tianzhao's combination of punches. In order to rope Jiang Tian in, he offered such generous terms. The Hong family's assets were in the tens of billions. This sum was almost $1 billion. At this time, even Zhang Yanghao and Madame Mange gave in. Shenong School's strength was not inferior to the Hong family's. However, they could not be as generous as the Hong family. Moreover, they were not the sect leaders. They could not make a decision on such a big matter. "What do you think, Mr. Jiang?" Hong Tianzhao was full of confidence after he said that. The Hong family's martial arts heritage had been passed down for hundreds of years. He was also a martial arts grandmaster. The protection that he could give Jiang Tian was not something that could be exchanged with $1 billion. Don't forget that alchemists were not strong in martial arts. If they did not have a backer, they would be at the mercy of others. Therefore, 8 out of 10 alchemists relied on martial arts sects or clans. However, Jiang Tian shook his head calmly and said, "Grandmaster Hong, I'm sorry. I only want materials of the 5 elements or spiritual herbs and spiritual medicines. I won't agree to any other conditions." The crowd was dumbfounded. Jiang Tian was too arrogant. He did not even care about the Imperial Physician Hall, Shenong School, and especially the Hong family's invitation. This was the Hong family of Hubei province. "Oh, you're rejecting me so easily?" Although Hong Tianzhao still had a smile on his face, an undetectable murderous intent flashed across his eyes. "This brat, I gave you such a generous offer, yet you rejected it. Could it be that you want to die?" Seeing this, Qiu Gong's expression changed slightly. He was shocked. His whole body tensed up. However, Hong Tianzhao quickly restrained his murderous intent and laughed heartily. "Mr. Zhang's aura is really inclusive of the world. You're really an expert." He clasped his fists and said seriously, "All right. Since Grandmaster Jiang does not want to agree, I will not force you. However, I'll say this. The door of the Hong family is always open to Mr. Jiang. We welcome you to join us at any time. Mr. Jiang, you've missed your chance." Even Zhang Yanghao and Madame Mange looked regretful. They shook their heads and sighed. After that, no one came to inquire about the price. After all, they knew that Jiang Tian's conditions were impossible to make a deal with. Jiang Tian walked around and did not find anything. Then he left the 100 Herb Manor with Tang Linglong and Qiu Gong and returned to the Medicine Metropolis Hotel. When they left, Jiang Tian looked at Chen Bo, who was waiting at the door, and said mockingly, "Young Master Chen, you're quite impressive as a doorman." Hearing this, Chen Bo was so angry that his face turned pale. He clenched his fists so tightly that they cracked. His whole body was trembling. Chapter 97. It's none of your business. It's none of your business. In the secular world, he was the young master of heaven, who was awe-inspiring and domineering. But when he came to the Shenong sect, he could only be a handyman disciple, and this was what his family begged him for. On the other hand, Jiang Tian was treated with great respect by both the Shenong school and the Hong family. The difference was too big. "It's none of my business. But thanks for your hard work. I'll give you a top-grade pill." Jiang Tian chuckled. With a wave of his sleeve, a pill rolled to his feet. "Jiang Tian, what are you so proud of? Who wants your pill? You think you're so great just because you have some alchemy skills?" Chen Bo was furious. "Throw it away if you don't want it." But Jiang Tian didn't care about him. He put his hands behind his back and walked out of the door leisurely. "Fuck, It's a waste if I don't take it. After Jiang Tian left, Chen Bo couldn't resist the temptation. He picked up the pill as if it was a treasure and swallowed it without even wiping off the dust on it. Blurg! A foul smell filled his mouth. Chen Bo held his stomach and couldn't stop retching. He felt something was wrong and shouted, Jiang Tian, what kind of pill is this? Stinks. Oh, that's sheep poop. You're a dog, you're only fit to eat this. Jiang Tian laughed and walked away. Jiang Tian, don't be so arrogant. I'll never let you go. Blurg, blurg, blurg. Chen Bo was about to go crazy. He kept spitting and gritting his teeth. Master Kong, I'm afraid things are not going well. On the way, Qiu Gong thought for a while and said with difficulty, Why? Jiang Tian and Zhao Xueqing were flirting with each other through instant messaging. That Hong Tianzhao is not a kind person. As the saying goes, a gentleman is innocent, but treasuring a jade ring gets him into trouble. I'm afraid that he's already coveting your medicinal pills, Master Kong. Qiu Gong said with a grave expression. So what? Jiang Tian said calmly as he looked at the lights outside the window. What I mean is, let's not go to tomorrow's large-scale pill exchange. Lord Qiu weighed his words carefully and then said respectfully, Hong Tianzhao is a transcendent grandmaster. Although he appears to be straightforward, he is actually a cunning and ruthless man. I'm afraid tomorrow will be a Hongmen banquet with hidden murderous intent. Hee, you're just a little master. Do you think you're worthy of me avoiding you? You think too highly of him. Jiang Tian smiled disdainfully. Jiang Tian was so young, yet he was able to say such bold words. Duke Qiu was dumbfounded, filled with shock and admiration. After considering it over and over again, he changed the way he spoke. Of course I believe in Grandmaster Jiang's cultivation, but I'm afraid that he'll use some kind of crafty scheme against Grandmaster Jiang. There's no harm in avoiding the edge. Duke Qiu, you have to understand that in the face of absolute power, all kinds of dirty tricks are useless. Jiang Tian sipped his tea leisurely and said lightly, no matter what tricks he has up his sleeves, I, Jiang Tian, can crush them with one punch. Autumn Doll thought about it for a while and then he cupped his fists and said respectfully, Grandmaster Jiang's words make sense. This junior has learned a lot today. Thank you, Master Kong, for your advice. Back at the hotel, Jiang Tian bumped into Jiang Lin who was running out of the hotel in a hurry. Where are you going, Jiang Lin? It's so late. Jiang Tian frowned and mumbled. Jiang Lin had always been steady and generous. She had always treated people well. It was rare to see her in such a hurry and in such a mess. Oh no, I made a mistake with the ticket. Jiang Lin ignored Jiang Tian completely. She was drowning in despair and frustration. Her eyes were red and she kept stomping her feet. I thought the ticket I bought for 1 million was for tomorrow's large-scale medicinal pill exchange. I just figured it out that it's for tonight. I spent 1 million for nothing. I didn't get any prescriptions. Grandpa will definitely blame me. She was about to cry. It's already 11. It's time to end it. It's no use even if you go. Jiang Tian smiled bitterly and shook his head. Go back to sleep. If you want to attend tomorrow's exchange, I'll take you there. Jiang Lin's gaze fell on Jiang Tian. She said mockingly, Jiang Dun, you're so arrogant. You're taking me to tomorrow's exchange. Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Only those high and mighty martial artists can participate in tomorrow's exchange. Who do you think you are? You're just a useless piece of trash. Be careful not to get your legs broken. She snorted disdainfully. She wiped her tears and walked back to her room angrily in her high heels. What the fuck? What the fuck? Tang Linglong was so angry that her face turned green. She cursed. I want to beat this little girl to death. My Sifu is Master Kong. He's the most powerful man in Jiangbei. Even my grandpa has to be courteous to him. Forget it. Jiang Tian patted the little girl's head and smiled gently. She's my cousin after all. Tang Linglong followed Jiang Tian upstairs with a muffled voice. She was silent all the way. Suddenly, she said emotionally, Sifu, you're such a good person, huh? I'm a good person? Jiang Tian was stunned for a moment. Then he burst into laughter. He proved his Tao by killing. He was invincible in the universe and had killed countless people. His title was the Taichu Celestial Lord, but more people called him the Zhenyu Demon King, the Taichu Killing God, and the Starry Butcher. He had countless titles that shook the universe. There were many praises and criticisms for him, but he was never a good person. Yes, the Tang family is also a big family. The brothers and sisters fight for power and profit. There's no humanity in them at all, Tang Linglong said emotionally. When I first met you, Sifu, I also thought you were very cold and indifferent to people. But now I understand that you're actually the most sentimental person. You love your wife, help your family and friends, and never give up no matter how much you've been wronged. Huh, is that so? Jiang Tian did not comment. He walked to the door of the room. It's my honor to be your disciple. Tang Linglong hugged Jiang Tian's shoulder and kissed Jiang Tian on the mouth. Then she ran into her room. I was kissed by a little girl. Jiang Tian knew that she was innocent and only had feelings for him as her disciple. He did not care. He turned to look at the dazed Qiu Gong. Why aren't you sleeping? What are you looking at? Oh, I'll go now. I'll go now. The old man came to his senses and said cheekily, Master Kong, I didn't see anything. I won't tell Madame Jiang. The next day, Jiang Tian, Tang Linglong, and Qiu Gong drove to the venue of the large-scale elixir exchange meeting, Mount Garuda. The steep green hills stretched endlessly, surrounded by clouds and fog. Mount Garuda was like a sharp arrow piercing the sky among the mountains of the Shenangjia mountain range. There was a platform at the top of the mountain, surrounded by fences. This was the venue of the elixir exchange meeting. On the long and narrow mountain road, there was a guard every 5 steps and a sentry every 10 steps. It was heavily guarded. The scenery is not bad. Jiang Tian had his hands behind his back as he walked up the stairs in a lazy manner, and he seemed like a tourist that was sightseeing. Shenangjia was not like the 100,000 mountains. Although there were unknown areas, there was still a certain degree of development. They drove along the winding mountain road early in the morning. It was very easy for them to walk only about 10 miles on the mountain road. Qiu Gong, who had white hair and a beard, and Tang Linglong, who had an ethereal temperament, accompanied him. Jiang Lin came earlier than me. When they reached the platform at the top of the mountain, Jiang Tian saw a scene that surprised him. Brother, I beg you to let me pass. I bought a ticket before this. Jiang Lin was standing at the entrance, holding a ticket and begging the few guards. The ticket is useless. It's from last night. It's already expired. This elixir exchange meeting is different from yesterday. You need to show your invitation letter. Please go back. The big man in the lead waved his hand impatiently. But I missed the meeting last night. I can't just come here for nothing. Jiang Lin was sweating profusely. She was not sure if it was because of her anxiety or the heat. I am from the Jiang family of Jinling City. My father is Jiang Yangming and my grandfather is Jiang Changing. The Jiang family of Jinling City? The leader frowned and looked at the guard next to him. The guard whispered, she should be from the Jiang family of the Medicine King group. Get out. The leader smiled disdainfully. This is a gathering of the martial arts world. The Jiang family is just a secular family. You are not qualified to enter. Jiang Lin was in despair. She did not expect that the Jiang family, which was one of the top families in Jinling City, was not even qualified to attend this gathering. Suddenly, she saw a person on the platform. As if she had seen her savior, she waved her arm and shouted with a smile, Young Master Chen, please take me in. Chen Bo heard her and walked over lazily. He smiled smugly and said, You want me to take you in? Sure. Now kneel down. After being humiliated by Jiang Tian last night, he was filled with hatred. With nowhere to vent his anger, he started to hate Jiang Lin as well. Jiang Lin's face stiffened and her smile disappeared. She said in a trembling voice, Chen Bo, do you have to be so aggressive? Humph, I want to buy you a drink, but you don't give me face. Why should I give you face? Chen Bo put his hands behind his back and looked at Jiang Lin arrogantly. He was waiting for her to kneel down. Chen Bo, you are just a lackey. How dare you make things difficult for the Jiang family? Do you want to die? Suddenly, a low voice filled with mockery was heard. Jiang, why are you here? Jiang Lin turned around and saw Jiang Tian walking toward her. Why can't I come? Jiang Tian had already approached Chenbo with large strides, pressing forward courageously. She was shocked when she remembered Jiang Tian's simple and rude personality. She quickly pulled Jiang Tian and said, Jiang, don't be rash. He is from Shinong School. We can't afford to offend him. Then what do you want? Do you really want to kneel down? Jiang Tian stopped and looked at Jiang Lin. Jiang Lin was stunned when she heard this, and then her delicate figure started trembling slightly. Her beautiful eyes were on the verge of tears, and her pretty face was ghastly pale as she said with a trembling voice, If he can really take me in, then why not kneel for the sake of the Jiang clan's future? Jiang Tian shook his head and sighed. He did not know whether to admire her or to despise her. He said lightly, Jiang Lin, you are a smart person. Can't you see that the Jiang family and the three major families of Jin City are like fire and water? With his hands behind his back, he stood there lazily and said indifferently, in a life and death battle, not only does it require one to be meticulous like dust and feign civility, it also requires courage as great as the heavens and an aura that can swallow mountains and rivers. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous will prevail. What you said is almost exactly the same as what Grandpa said at the family meeting. Jiang Lin looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief. This cousin of hers had always been a good-for-nothing. She did not expect him to say something so profound. Jiang Tian did not look at her anymore. Instead, he walked toward Chenbo and said coldly, Jiang Lin, you are good at dealing with people, but you lack the courage to fight to the death. Today, I'll let you see how I'll beat this brat like a dog. Chapter 98. In his previous life, in the business war with the Chen clan, the Jiang clan was filled with the doctrine of defeatism. They retreated time and time again, not daring to lose 800 of their own men but 1,000 of the enemy. That was why they were at a disadvantage and were defeated by the Chen clan in one strike. Jiang Tian wanted to tell Jiang Lin that only by not retreating and pressing forward with indomitable will one be able to defeat the enemy and obtain victory. Jiang Tian, this is a martial arts gathering. You are not qualified to join. Get out. Seeing Jiang Tian coming, Chenbo said disdainfully, What do you want? Do you want to force your way in? Humph, you idiot. Think about it carefully. This is the place of Shinong School. I can kill you with one word. Humph, Shinong School? Bullshit. I'm here because I'm giving you face. Jiang Tian said with a smile, You want me to die? You're so arrogant. Even your sect leader doesn't dare to talk to me like this. You're just an ant. You can only talk to me if you lie down or kneel down. Since you don't know, I'll let you know your place. Jiang Tian walked over with a disdainful smile. Suddenly, he raised his hand and slapped Chenbo in the face. Chenbo flew out like a kite with a broken string. Blood spurted out of his mouth and his teeth flew. He fell down like a dead dog. His face was purple and swollen like a steamed bun. Chenbo held his head and shook it for a long time before he realized that he had been hit. He couldn't help but fly into a rage. He stood up, pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted angrily, Jiang, you idiot, how dare you hit me? I'm an outer core disciple of Shinong School. He couldn't believe that Jiang Tian dared to hit him. The Jiang family had been declining day by day. In the Jiang family, Jiang Tian was just a good-for-nothing who could only cause trouble. But he was the ace young master of the Qin family and a disciple of Shinong School. In the eyes of ordinary people, he was as high as a god. But Jiang Tian dared to hit him, and there were so many guards and policemen around. It was simply unreasonable. It's a servant disciple. Jiang Tian's expression was indifferent, as if hitting him was like swatting a fly. He corrected Jiang Tian with a murderous tone. Jiang Tian, shut up. Quickly apologized to young Master Qin. Jiang Lin's heart was filled with sorrow when she saw this, and she was anxious to the point she almost cried. He thought to himself that Jiang Tian had really gotten him into trouble. He had beaten up Chenbo, so he definitely had no hope of entering the arena. He might even be tortured to death by Qinbo. Is a mere ant worthy of me apologizing to him? Jiang Tian's face was calm as he said slowly, killing him is like killing a chicken. Jiangdan, don't be so arrogant. You're courting death. Left and right beat this brat to death. Chen Bo was so angry that his entire body trembled. His gaze was so cold that it could kill. He waved his hand and shouted. In Shinong School, his status was not as high as that of Ms. Mange and Zhang Yanghao, but he still had some influence in the outer core. He was in charge of the peripheral security of this gathering. Yes. Hearing this, 7 or 8 burly men with strong qi immediately approached Jiang Tian. They rubbed their fists and were ready to fight. Jiang Tian, hurry up and run with me. I heard that they are martial artists and kill people like cutting grass. Jiang Lin was scared out of her wits. Her face was pale and her body trembled. She pulled Jiang Tian and begged him. Qinbo, do you want to die? How dare you be so rude to Alchemist Jiang? At this moment, Shen Mange quickly walked over with a shout. Her face was as cold as frost, and her murderous aura soared. Eldest senior sister, he barged into the gathering today and even hit me. I have to stop him. Chen Bo wanted to cry but had no tears. He walked up and explained anxiously, you must have been fooled by him. He is such a good-for-nothing. He doesn't even know the basic properties of herbs. He can't even write the simplest prescription. How could he know how to make pills? What do you know? Madame Mangu raised her hand and slapped Qinbo's face, causing blood to spurt out from his nose. She rebuked angrily, how can I not know great alchemist Zhang's alchemy level? What trick did this brat use to deceive senior sister into worshipping him like a god? Chen Bo covered his face and glared at Jiang Tian with hatred. He gritted his teeth and roared angrily in his heart. How dare you stare at me? Ms. Mange's face was cold. She pointed at Chen Bo and scolded, do you want to die? If you dare to be disrespectful to Alchemist Jiang again, you will be expelled from the sect. I will kill you. Yes, senior sister. I won't do it again. Chen Bo was so scared that his face turned pale. He quickly bowed and said, this eldest senior sister looked gentle and virtuous, but in fact she was extremely vicious and merciless. Countless disciples who did not follow the sect rules were cruelly executed by her. Kneel. Ms. Mange shouted. Chen Bo was so scared that he immediately knelt on the ground and trembled like a sieve. When facing Jiang Tian, Ms. Mange put on a smile and bowed respectfully. Alchemist Jiang, I discussed with Elder Zhang yesterday. Only if you attend the elixir exchange will it be worthy of the name. I wanted to send an invitation, but I didn't expect you to come personally. Ms. Mange didn't welcome you at the door. Please forgive me. Senior Sister Mange, why is she so respectful to Jiang Tian, this good-for-nothing? Also, he knows nothing about medicine. How did he become Master Kong? Seeing this, Jiang Lin was shocked. She was stunned and petrified on the spot. She could not believe it. Looks like we have the same idea. Jiang Tian only glanced at Shen Mange. His expression was very calm as he stepped onto the platform. Jiang Lin hesitated for a while and quickly followed Jiang Tian. The people around them backed off. No one dared to stop them. At this time, on the platform, there was a huge round table in the center. There was a circle of stone chairs. More than 20 martial artists had gathered there. Unlike last night, there was not a single person from the secular world. They were all martial artists from various big families and factions. Why are there so few people at this gathering? Qiu Gong whispered in Jiang Tian's ear with a strange expression. Who cares? Jiang Tian snorted and looked at Qiu Gong with disdain. Alchemist Jiang is here so soon. Seeing Jiang Tian's arrival, Hong Tian Zhao stood up with a face full of joy. He cupped his fists and greeted Jiang Tian. Tang Qianbian, Niu Bowen, and the other martial artists also stood up and greeted Jiang Tian warmly. I came uninvited. Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Jiang Tian casually sat down on a stone chair, crossed his legs, and said with a carefree smile, just now, Lady Mangu said that she wanted to send me an invitation. Could it be that you've prepared some spiritual herbs? Are these all martial artists? They are so strict and powerful. Even Grandpa can't be compared to them. Jiang Lin instantly shuddered with fear, and she stood obediently behind Jiang Tian like a little bird that was looking for the protection of a pair of wings. Of course. Madame Mange sat down next to Jiang Tian and handed him a cup of tea. She smiled and said, "Last night, we thought about it and couldn't give up the elixir that you made. So, we brought some spiritual herbs from our school. We hope that they can catch Master Kang's eye." "Master Kang, please take a look." An elder of Shinnong School carefully opened a big brocade box on the stone table. Seeing a furnace with incense and candles in the middle of the stone table, Jiang Tian's heart was slightly moved. But his face was still calm. He glanced at the brocade box and his heart suddenly jumped. So strange. Black nightshade, snow tea, purple duckweed, summer ice holly. These herbs were not strange. They were only about 10 years old. But they were all full of strong green wood qi, which turned these ordinary herbs into spiritual herbs of the highest quality. Green wood, also known as green spiritual wood, took 50 years to germinate, 100 years to grow, and 1,000 years to become a material. After 1,000 years, green spiritual would contain surging and pure green wood qi. It was rare even in the outer space. It was the wood element material needed to set up a spirit gathering array. These herbs are very good. I'm willing to exchange 20 spiritual herbs for them. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. Great alchemy Master Jiang's eyes are like torches. These herbs have been treasured by our sect for many years. Madame Mange sighed softly, then smiled and said, "Mr. Jiang, let's start the exchange." She immediately reported the names and quantities of the spiritual herbs. Jiang Tian took the package from Duke Qiu, took out a few porcelain bottles, poured them out, and handed them to the other party. "All right, everyone is busy, so I'll take my leave first." Jiang Tian picked up the brocade box and stood up. "Great alchemy Master Jiang, why are you in such a hurry? Let's chat for a while. You can stay at my house for a few days before leaving." Hong Tianzhao was anxious. He stood up and invited him warmly. "Thank you for your kind intentions, Patriarch Hong." Jiang Tian politely rejected. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. "There will be a time when we meet again. But I have worldly affairs to attend to, so I have to leave." "Great alchemy Master Jiang, this is the highest quality cloud mist tea from our Shinnong School's Cloud Mist Peak. In ancient times, it was offered as a tribute to the royal family. Why don't you and Duke Qiu try it before leaving?" Madame Mange's face was full of joy. She looked around with her beautiful eyes and spoke in a sweet voice. She held the cup with both hands and handed it to Jiang Tian. Seeing that Hong Tianzhao and Mange were so respectful to Jiang Tian, Jiang Lin was even more surprised. She couldn't believe it. Jiang Tian didn't refuse. He took the tea and drank it in one gulp. Tang Linglong also took a sip. Duke Qiu hesitated for a moment, then picked up the teacup and touched his lips. Jiang Tian placed the teacup on the round table and turned to leave with a smile. "All right, you don't have to send me off. Jiang Tian, you still want to leave? Leave all the spiritual herbs and recipes behind, and I'll spare your life." At this moment, Madame Mange's expression changed. There was no longer any smile on her face. Her beautiful eyes were filled with coldness as she shouted coldly, "Jiang Tian, what are they trying to do?" Jiang Lin was stunned. She didn't expect Shin Mange, who was so friendly just a moment ago, to suddenly change her attitude. "Are they trying to rob us?" Suddenly, she understood something. Her face turned pale and her body trembled. She pulled on Jiang Tian's sleeve as if she could find some support. These martial artists were rumored to be superhuman existences. He and Jiang Tian were just ordinary people. Wouldn't they be crushed like ants by the other party? "Ha, do you think they can rob us?" Jiang Tian stood there with his hands behind his back. He looked at Madame Mange and sneered. Setting up ambushes, assassinating, poisoning, killing, and robbing. Jiang Tun was a grandmaster. These people were playing tricks on him. It was like showing off in front of Master Guan. Chapter 99. Jiang Tian, why are you still so stubborn? Don't you know that you shouldn't show off your wealth? If you have these precious medicinal pills, you shouldn't have taken them out to show people. Jiang Lin was so angry that her body trembled. She glared at Jiang Tian and then took a deep breath. She stepped in front of Jiang Tian and said righteously, "Humph! We are the descendants of the Jiang family of Jinlin City. My father is Jiang Yangming and my grandfather is Jiang Changgang. If you want to hurt us, you better think twice." Although her aura was not small, her slightly trembling hands still exposed the fear and nervousness in her heart at this moment. Seeing this, Jiang Tian couldn't help but laugh. He also felt touched. His cousin had always had a sharp tongue but a soft heart and a strong sense of responsibility. He had never thought that she would have the courage to stand in front of him in the face of such a deadly situation. The Jiang family of Jinlin City is just a third-rate family. I can wipe them out with a wave of my hand. Tang Qianbian stood up and said with disdain, "We have already done our research. This Jiang Tian is just a piece of trash who offended a wealthy family in Yanjin. If I kill him, the Jiang family won't dare to pursue the matter." He sneered and threatened, "Jiang Tun, put down all the pills and tell me the recipe. Otherwise, I will kill you like a dog." "You are far from being able to do that." Jiang Tian didn't panic at all. He looked at Hong Tianzhao with a cold smile and said, "Lord Hong, are you going to help me or are you going to work with them?" Hong Tianzhao stood up and looked down at Jiang Tian. His eyes were cold as he said, "Mr. Jiang, what do you think? You bastard! You were still friends with Master Kong yesterday and today you set up an ambush to kill him and steal his treasures." Qiu Gong scolded with a righteous face. Tang Linglong also yelled, "You're going back on your words? Two-faced and unethical. How dare you call yourself a martial Dao master? What a disgrace." "Ah, Grandmaster? How much is it worth?" Hong Tianzhao looked up to the sky and laughed. His violent aura swept across the entire area. He looked at Jiang Tian coldly and sneered. "A man's wealth is his own ruin. Yesterday, I opened the door to welcome him into the Hong family, but he didn't give me any face and flatly rejected me. That means he's doomed to a tragic end." Qiu Gong's face was filled with sorrow. This was the truth of the martial arts world. The strong were respected, and the weak were punished. Everything was decided by strength. With a loud rumble, Niu Bowen also stood up and said with a hideous grin, "Patriarch Hong, why are you wasting your breath on him? Everyone, let's work together and kill him. We'll sit on the ground and split the gold." How joyful! He greedily looked at Qiu Gong's backpack and grinned. "I only want 2 body-tempering pills. Essence Qi pills. I fire spirit pills." Everyone present only needed a few words to finish dividing the loot. "Jiang Tian, what should we do? Why don't you give them the pill formula?" Jiang Lin was terrified to the point of shivering, and she curled up like a little kitten behind Jiang Tian while sobbing silently, and her heart was filled with despair. Many martial artists stood up and surrounded him as they slowly closed in. In her opinion, she and Jiang Tian were going to die here today. Jiang Tian was still as calm as ever. He turned around and patted her head with a smile. "Cousin, did you see it clearly? This was the truth of this world, a life and death struggle, a life and death struggle. Remember, if he wants to fight, then fight. Don't back down." After that, he turned around and looked at Hong Tianzhao and Mange. He laughed and said, "Very good, very good." His eyes drooped slightly, and the corners of his mouth curled up in an excited arc as he muttered to himself, "All those years ago, I attained the Tao through slaughter in the outer realm, and I swept through the starry sky for a myriad of light years, causing me to be filled with delight. After I was reborn, I was restrained and restrained everywhere. It has been a long time since I've killed to my heart's content." His eyes were cold and murderous. "But today you are here for me to kill. I am so happy. Thank you." "Ha, what are you mumbling about? You can go to hell now." Tang Qianbian snorted and waved his hands. Dozens of flying knives flew toward Jiang Tian. As soon as the flying dagger flew out, it was as if it was a boundless sea. The dagger light flickered, cold and incomparably sharp. It poured down like a great river, as if anything that came in contact with the dagger light would be riddled with holes. The Tang sect's 36 forms, limitless flying dagger. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. They're really using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken. It's Jiang Tian's honor to die under such an ultimate skill. Someone thought disdainfully. The limitless flying knives were created by the founder of the Tang sect. It was the most powerful hidden weapon. Not to mention that Jiang Tian was just a useless idiot from the Jiang family. Even if he was an expert at the pinnacle of internal force, his blood would splatter and he would die on the spot. Qin Bian is quite talented. Although he didn't use the full power of the limitless flying knives, it is still very powerful. In the field, Hong Tianzhao's eyes narrowed as he sighed in his heart. There was a hint of approval on his face. They are fighting. It turned out that elder sister Mangu was scheming. I was wrong about him. Jiang Tian is going to kick the bucket this time. Inside the perimeter, Chen Bo was gloating and elated. When he saw Tang Qianbian attack, his face was filled with fanatical worship and endless envy. He muttered, "Oh my God, Tang Qianbian is so powerful. Killing Jiang Tian is like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. How can such a good-for-nothing deserve to be killed by Master Tang? Playing with knives in front of me? Do you think you deserve it?" Facing this, Jiang Tian stood proudly and smiled disdainfully. In an instant he waved his jade-white hand. The 18 forms of the immortal martial, dragon-binding hand. A palm of qi broke through the air with a faint aura. It was the size of a millstone, just like the 5-finger mountain of the Venerable Buddha. It pushed out horizontally and grabbed down. Crack, crack. The 36 flying daggers made of fine steel were bent or broken and fell to the ground. What? Tang Qianbian couldn't believe it and his eyes narrowed. With a tap of his feet, he soared into the air like an eagle and leaped backwards. The Tang sect's hidden weapons were so powerful that they could even penetrate a person's body with a poker card. However, the limitless saber that he had used just now was made by the Liu family fort, a blacksmith family. It was made with special metals and was made with an ancient method. It could cut through iron like mud and was indestructible. However, it had been crushed like a piece of paper. Today, I am at the second level of the qi refining stage. I can bind Song Long with one hand. Jiang Tian's expression was calm as he smiled in disdain. His jade-white hands waved forward as if he was playing a zither. I told you that you don't deserve to play with knives in front of me. Let me show you what a real knife is. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Jiang Tian's fingertips sent out countless qi blades towards Tang Qianbian. Tang Qianbian was indeed worthy of being the eldest young master of the Tang sect. In a moment of desperation, he stomped on the air and used the flying technique of the swallow's 3 swallows. His body rose up again, and his speed was as fast as lightning as he shot into the sky. However, Jiang Tian's qi blades were even faster. Even though he used the Tang sect's qin gong, he still couldn't dodge them. A sharp sound resounded as his body was penetrated, causing blood to gush out. His entire body fell to the ground like a dead dog, causing numerous strands of dazzling scarlet red to splash out. After a violent twitching, Tang Qianbian stopped moving. He couldn't be more dead. How did he kill young Master Tang? Niu Bowen, Chen Bo, and the others couldn't believe it. Their faces changed as they looked at each other in dismay. Jiang Tian's qi was faint and his speed was fast. They couldn't see how Jiang Tian killed Tang Qianbian. Jiang Ting, when did you become so powerful? Jiang Lin's eyes were wide open. Her mouth was wide open. She couldn't believe it. She didn't have any cultivation. All she saw was that Jiang Tian waved his hand and Tang Qianbian's throwing knives broke. Then he waved his hands and Tang Qianbian died. However, Tang Qianbian's limitless blade made her dizzy. She jumped 20 meters high with a single jump. She was dizzy and her heart was in a daze. However, Jiang Tian could kill him. Didn't that mean that Jiang Tian was even more powerful? Wow, so Master is so powerful. So domineering. Tang Linglong's eyes were filled with excitement and reverence. This was the first time she saw Jiang Tian's strength in martial arts since she met him. Qi condensation. He is a transcendent master. In the crowd, Hong Tianzhao knew what was going on. His face paled as he exclaimed, "I heard that there was a transcendent master in Linzhou City. Could it be him?" Mange glanced at Qiu Gong and Tang Linglong. Suddenly, she realized what was going on. Her face paled as she mumbled, "No wonder he dared to show off his wealth. We have underestimated him." "That's right." Qiu Gong stepped forward and let out a proud smile. "This is the transcendent master of Jiangbei, Kong Teichu." Tang Linglong stood with her arms akimbo. Her face was filled with disdain. "Get out of here if you know what's good for you." "What? He is the Master Kong of Jiangbei?" Niu Bowen and many other overlords were taken aback by the revelation. They all took a step back. None of them could believe what they had just heard. The Jiang family was just a secular family and was considered a third-class family in China. Jiang Tian was a good-for-nothing from this third-class family. He was a good-for-nothing, but now, he had become a transcendent master. They had worked hard for decades to reach the iron body state. Even the strongest among them had only achieved initial success in internal force cultivation. However, Jiang Tian had reached the transcendent state. It was unbelievable. Realizing Jiang Tian's power, everyone regretted their decision. If they had known that he was so powerful, they would have stayed away from him. I am afraid he is just an initial success transcendent state cultivator. He has already smelled the rosemary and drank the heartbreak grass hook tea. Even if he is a transcendent master, he is going to die here. Behind Ms. Mange, a skinny old man in a Taoist robe rose to his feet and said with a disdainful smirk, "Bu Xuanzi, the inner sect elder of the Shenong school." Qiu Gong furrowed his brows and was taken aback. Although the old man was skinny and frail, his eyes shone brightly. He carried a bamboo basket on his back and held a hoe in his hand. He was Bu Xuanzi, the grand elder of the inner sect of the Shenong school. He was a phenomenal success transcendent master. Other than Zhuo Zimu and a handful of other powerful overlords, he was invincible. Not to mention that he was a master of poison. He could kill anyone with a single drop of poison. Even a transcendent master would have to stay away from him. "The heartbreak grass hook tea we drank just now is rosemary on the tea table?" Qiu Gong was shocked and in disbelief. "This is something that took 10 years to refine. It can even deal with deity realm experts. It's such a waste to use it on trash like you." Divinator had a pained expression on his face. "2 types of poison. You are despicable." Qiu Gong's face paled. Chapter 100. Rosemary was originally invented by Liu Bowen of the Ming dynasty. It had helped Zhu Yuanzhang kill tens of thousands of Qin Youyang's elite soldiers. It was known as the smell of incense. It was especially effective against martial artists. Once a martial artist smelled it, their body would go limp and they would not be able to use their qi. They would be at the mercy of others. The heartbroken grass hook tea was created by Fu Shi, the ancestor of Shenong school. He had tasted hundreds of herbs and found that Chinese medicine could cure diseases and strengthen the body. In the end, he accidentally ate the heartbroken grass hook tea and died. This kind of tea could even kill the ancient sages. It could be said that there was no antidote for it. Thinking of this, he activated his qi but found that the blood flow in his body was not smooth and his breathing was stagnant. He was so anxious that he broke out in cold sweat. "It's over! It's over!" The poison should have taken effect by now. Bu Xuanzi looked at Jiang Tian with disdain as if he was looking at an idiot. "There are so many of us. Even a 3-year-old child can knock them down with one finger." At this time, Tang Linglong felt her body go limp and she sat on the ground. Qiu Gong also fell to the ground. That's true. Shenong school is really good at using poison." Niu Bowen, Qin Bo and the others immediately clapped and cheered. You call this poison? It's just candy to me." Jiang Tian's expression did not change. He flicked his right hand and 3 antidotes flew into the mouths of Qiu Gong and the others. He had been in the universe for thousands of years and had seen all kinds of dangers. For thousands of years, he had entered the dead zone, the Demon Mountain and the Sea of Poison. Those places were filled with miasma and poisonous creatures. They were the most poisonous places in the world. Compared to the poisonous creatures in those dangerous places, Bu Swansea's poison was insignificant. You shameless brat. How dare you disregard Shenong School's poison? I'll take your life first. Niu Bowen raised his head to the sky and let out a strange cry. He had already taken the lead and charged towards Jiang Tian. He wanted to fight for merits and benefits, so if he killed Jiang Tian first, he would definitely be able to get 1 or 2 more top-grade pills. Originally, he was a little afraid of Jiang Tian because of Tang Chenbian. But now that Jiang Tian was poisoned, the poison was only a matter of seconds. What was there to be afraid of? He immediately unleashed the hanging fist. Cloak, open, break. Hexagram, the 8 trigrams, created by Fushi. His fists were like golden axes chopping down with irresistible force. His punches and kicks were like flames rushing up and golden springs gushing out from the ground. His Chai Guaquan had already reached perfection. A golden-backed ghost head blade slashed down toward Jiang Tian's head, as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him. The attacker was the son of the Golden Saber Wang family. His saber skills had reached the transcendent level and he was also an internal force master. He jumped up and used the momentum of the falling saber to flash a white light. It reflected his ferocious face as if he wanted to kill Jiang Tian to vent his anger. Jiang Tian only raised his hand and flicked his finger. With a clang, the ghost head saber flew out of his hand and into the sky. Jiang Tian followed up with a slap. Young Master Wang's head exploded like a watermelon. Blood and brain matter splattered everywhere. Before young Master Wang's body fell to the ground, Jiang Tian flicked his finger at a martial artist in black. Swish! A ray of light shot out as fast as lightning. A bloody hole appeared on the martial artist's forehead. His eyes were wide open as he fell to the ground. He couldn't believe that he died in such a tragic way. Hee, you can't even withstand a single strike? I'm so disappointed in you. Jiang Tian's face was calm. He killed people like he was killing ants. He walked toward the crowd as if he was taking a stroll in the park. Clang! A treasured sword slashed down. In a flash, Jiang Tian moved like a dragon or a tiger and dodged the sword. He stretched out his right hand like lightning and twisted that person's neck. He casually grabbed the treasured sword that was flickering with cold light in his hand. Let me teach you how to use a sword. Jiang Tian swung his hand. The long sword was like a silver bottle breaking water. The sword light was everywhere. Puff, puff, puff. Blood spurted out. 5 heads flew into the sky and the bodies fell to the ground. Use your ultimate skills or I won't be happy killing you. Jiang Tian didn't stop. He glanced at the crowd that was pale with fear. His eyes were cold and indifferent. Swish, 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 swish. More than 10 figures rushed up and surrounded Jiang Tian. Some of them used spears and sticks, some used swords and sabers. There were also strange weapons like meteor claws, chain hammers, and flying guillotines. Swish. Jiang Tian's sword swept in all directions. The sharp sword chi was 7 or 8 meters long. It covered a large area. Ah! There were screams and shouts. 7 or 8 people were cut in half by Jiang Tian's sword. Suddenly, blood gushed out and internal organs flowed all over the ground. The pungent smell of blood was enough to make people tumble. Is he a demon? How can he be so powerful? More than 10 powerful martial artists can't stop him. How terrifying! Elder, are the strange poisons of Shenong School useless against him? The rest of the crowd was scared by Jiang Tian's power. They trembled and stumbled back. Their faces were pale as if they had seen a demon. Come on, let's fight. Jiang Tian stepped in the sticky pool of blood and looked at the crowd in disappointment. But they were so scared that they were trembling. How could they dare to fight again? Thump, thump. The rest of the martial artists dropped their weapons and knelt on the ground. They kowtowed as if they were pounding garlic. Grandmaster Jiang, we were just bewitched by Shen Mange and Hong Tianzhao. We were confused for a moment. We have no intention of challenging Grandmaster Jiang. Grandmaster Jiang, please spare our lives. We are willing to be your lackeys. Just say the word and we will go through fire and water for you. They shrank like quails and were about to cry. They kept worshipping and begging for mercy. You are just ants. How can you be my dogs? You think too highly of yourselves. Jiang Tian sneered and said coldly, kneel and don't move. Whoever moves will die. In less than a minute, Jiang Tian killed more than 20 martial arts masters as easily as cutting melons and vegetables. He forced 7 or 8 powerful martial artists to kneel and surrender. Only Bu Xuanzi, Hong Tianzhao, and Shen Mange were left on the platform. They stood there dumbfounded. The entire place was dead silent. Not a single sound could be heard. Only Jiang Tian was leisurely. He faced Hong Tianzhao and the others, whose faces were pale, with a mocking smile. He said lazily, I wonder if you regret setting up this trap now? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.